nothing. Then, in World War II, the British appeased Adolf Hitler. And after the war was winding down, President Roosevelt gave Stalin everything he wanted. That resulted in World War II and the Cold War. Now we have a recent history of Vietnam and Iraq. Those wars were not fought effectively for America, so the isolationists can point to that. But in today's modern world, you can't go it alone. Countries are tied together with trade and with security. And that is a truth. If you're an isolationist, you're on the wrong track. Back in a moment. Bill O'Reilly here. If you are stuck in a timeshare you no longer want, my friends at Lone Star Transfer can assist. Over the past 15 years, the family-owned company has helped more than 30,000 owners break free from their timeshares. They'll provide a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. So please call Lone Star Transfer 833-594-0079 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. For more news and honest analysis, please go to BillO'Reilly.com.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor for all your roofing needs. Visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER Roofing.com. Vic Porcelli.
Come on, you're Italian. You understand.
Every day is a busy day all of a sudden.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so, he's definitely Italian.
At least I have this show to come and talk about it and let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Good morning, freedom fighters. Good morning, Kenny Williams.
Good morning, Vic Porcelli. Welcome to Monday.
Yeah.
Good, man. Real good.
All right, big day today, of course, with all the happenings that happened over the weekend. We got lots to say. We'll talk to Rob Bluey in a bit. Also, I have some things I want to say before we even get to Rob about the happenings on Saturday. So we'll get to that in just a sec. That's crap coming up at 9:25. Terris Todd, he must like us. He keeps coming back to talk to us.
I'm glad, too.
Karen Kataline, can't wait to see what she has to say about all this. Lots going on. And Vic Brevet's another veteran we'll honor at 11:05. Ken, who's doing the Pledge of Allegiance for us?
We've got Manchester Mayor Mike.
Mayor
Clement.
Mike, go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so Saturday, about dinner time, we hit them. We got them. Our military is just the absolute most awesome, fiercest military in the world.
Yeah.
They sent B-2 bombers the wrong way. The wrong direction, right? It's kind of a head fake, kind of a shake and bake if you're playing football.
Right.
And they followed them, the ones that went to the west, and then the real ones went to the east, flew over Iran, and took out their nuclear capabilities. Now, that mop bomb that we talked about on Friday, the precision, this is what I'm talking about, our military. Dug a hole, right? Then blew up down there underground. Then another one drops a bomb right in the exact same hole. What kind of precision is that?
That's quite good.
Quite the precision.
And there were, how many were there, Vic? Overall, 14, I believe.
14. And then Tomahawk missiles coming from a nuclear submarine 400 miles off the coast of Iran.
I thought that was a pretty cool point. When they announced that, our submarine was off the coast and they were just firing all kinds of missiles into the ones that were above ground.
Right.
Yeah.
So it happens. Friday, I said, there's a difference between war and getting it done now.
An action.
And now I think is what President Trump did. Got it done now. Let's see what Rob Bluey has to say about it. Good morning, Rob Bluey.
It's a beautiful day in Washington, D.C.
It's a busy Monday after a busy weekend. I'll tell you, this president never slows down, does he?
From the Heritage Foundation, of course, and president and executive editor of the Daily Signal.
There is going to be no shortage of news today.
Rob, what a hit, right? What a hit that was Saturday.
It sure was, Vic. I think it was the clever deception on the part of of President Trump on so many levels. I mean, you started off by having this everyone expecting a decision over the matter of 2 weeks. I mean, that was what everybody in the news media was focused on. As you already mentioned, you had the B2s going in the wrong direction to deceive people yet again. And here he was pulling off what many people I don't think saw coming on Saturday, certainly not the Iranians. And we'll know for sure in the days to come, the success, but already it sends a powerful message to anybody in a position of power across the world that President Trump doesn't mess around.
And we have to show our allegiance and our alliance to Israel. We're all they got.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. And Israel, of course, 10 days ago started, this fight. They lacked the capability, though, to do the significant damage to the nuclear sites in Iran, given the U.S. Technology in terms of aircraft and the bomb that you mentioned, the 30,000 bunker buster bomb that really had significant effect based on the satellite imagery we're seeing on that Fordow nuclear site. So it's going to take a couple of days, but as some of the national security experts at the Heritage Foundation told me this morning, it could be thousands of years before the Iranians are able to enter that space, given the contamination that likely exists there. And we have to remember that this is something that the military has been planning for years, if not longer, if not decades. I mean, Iranians started building this facility in 2006. I think it became operational in 2009. It was shortly after that time that you had, several different administrations, Republicans and Democrats, that I think were rightly concerned about it. Of course, we would never have been in this position, at least in my perspective, were it not for Barack Obama and signing that horrible deal, the Iran nuclear deal, the JCPOA, back in 2015, which unfroze all those assets and allowed Iran to really ratchet up the amount of terrorism, and didn't do a whole lot to dissuade them from continuing down this path of creating a nuclear weapon.
The same people on social media that were vaccine experts, right? Experts on everything, and now they're experts on military attacks, and they're saying that this is World War. He just started World War III. They talk about it like they almost want it, like they want World War III.
There's no logic to a lot of their reasoning. I mean, these are the same people who are still flying the Ukrainian flag in their homes and their windows. So, I don't necessarily fully grasp what they would like us to do. If you look at the polling across the board, Republicans and Democrats, everybody agrees that it would be a terrible thing for Iran to, have a nuclear weapon, because they recognize that it would pose a threat not only to our allies in the Middle East, but also to the United States. And the other thing that I think we need to be worried about right now, Vic, is the fact that during the 4 years of Joe Biden's presidency, all of those illegal aliens who entered the country, among them were known terrorists. And so I'm worried today that there are Iranians in our own country who might want to take malicious action against us. Now, of course, the Iranians have not had much success. I think the last time they executed something like that was 1980 in Maryland. So, it is, but they are the largest state sponsor of terrorism. And so people across the globe, including U.S. soldiers in Iraq and other places, have suffered at the hands of the Iranians. And so this was something that I think President Trump certainly said, enough is enough. I've given you an opportunity to come to the negotiating table. You're refusing to do so. I'm going to take things into my own hands and put an end to this.
Rob and Vic, I posted something on X that had to do with the flags you guys just mentioned. I had to mention it because of that. The Democrats supported those who waved the Ukrainian flag, Palestinian flag, Mexican flag, and now the Iranian flag. Notice how the Democrat Party never seemed to be able to wave the American flag. Isn't that interesting, Rob?
Well, it certainly is interesting. And even just, within the last couple of weeks, I mean, there have been plenty of opportunities for them to display patriotism, including the big parade in Washington, D.C., celebrating the 250th birthday of the U.S. Army. And look at what they did in contrast to that. They decided to launch No King's Day protests across the country, where there were all sorts of other flags flying, and in many cases not the American flag. So yes, Ken, it happens time and time again, and I think that For those of us who love this country, we see right through it. Sadly, there are some who I think are so have Trump derangement syndrome and will always have that, and will, no matter what he does, will always take the opposite position. That is just their reaction. They're going to be in a position where they have nothing nice to say and will do everything in their power. This is why I think you have a situation even now in Congress where they're trying to introduce war powers resolutions and things. Where were they throughout the 8 years of Barack Obama's presidency, introducing these type of resolutions to curtail what he was doing in places like Iraq? And so I just think that it's all politics with these Democrats, and you're going to see more of it in the days to come.
And I learned that 250th anniversary parade for the Army was set up and planned before Donald Trump was even elected.
Well, of course, yes, there had to be a lot of planning, to execute something on that scale. And again, there are a number of things that have been in the works for a long time. We've known about our country's 250th birthday for many years, Vic. And so a lot of this stuff does predate Trump. I will say this, though. I had the opportunity to go to a White House PragerU display at the Executive Office Building last week, and I am grateful that we have a president who cares about the history of our country and celebrating the founding period, because I don't know that you would have seen the same type of display. Certainly, it would have had a different tinge to it if you had a Kamala Harris as president, I would imagine.
Every once in a while, somebody shocks you, right? By the way, we're talking to our great friend, Rob Bluey, who is the president and executive editor of the Daily Signal. It shocks you sometimes to see people who support it.
Iraq and Iran are not the same. This is an important thing for us to keep in mind. We know for sure that they're enriching uranium. They say it. The United Nations says it. It's so we're not guessing. Are there weapons of mass destruction? We know they're within breakout range. We know that with literally guys with flip-flops, box cutters, have done horrible with that ideology. People with way less weaponry have done horrible things with 9/11, horrible things with October 7th. And so this is a real threat and a real problem. Now, if the United States, which has the only bomb in the world that can bust that bunker, drops the bomb, it's true. Iran might do something, and then we have to do something. You might get sucked in. But the idea we're going to get sucked into the point of having hundreds of thousands of troops on the ground in Iran, I think, is not right. And it should not color our thinking about a true existential threat for the entire world.
I know you know that voice, Rob. That's Van Jones from CNN.
Yeah, it is surprising to see some people on the left come out and take the position. Certainly the most prominent elected official in the Democrat Party is John Fetterman.
Yep.
Who is vigorously defending President Trump. And there's some division even among Democrats. You saw this last week when Chuck Schumer was asked about what he might do with the war powers resolution, and Ro Khanna, the Democrat who has introduced it, the California House member, taking some swipes at his fellow Democrat. And so, it's one of those situations where the other party doesn't exactly know. They're not on the same page. They are leaderless at this particular moment. So I think there are many people striving for that mantle, and we shall see what ultimately happens in Congress. By the way, Vic, this is there is some bipartisan frustration with President Trump, both in the Senate and the House. And so I expect that your listeners will see over the course of this week, maybe next week, some of these debates pop up here in Washington as to where this ultimately goes. And we shouldn't ignore the fact that there were a number of prominent voices. I heard this on Bill O'Reilly's commentary before I came on. And as he indicated, there are individuals within the Make America Great Again movement who are also skeptical about going down a path, as am I. We saw the years and the treasure that was spent in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. I think the one difference is Donald Trump is not George W. Bush. He's not Barack Obama, and he's not Joe Biden, and he understands the consequences and the value of American lives.
So, with that being said, when we hit the nuclear facilities, I don't think there was many, if any, human casualties, right?
Well, so the satellite imagery showed, and this is one reason why it might take a few days, if not weeks, to figure out what was left there, because there were trucks apparently shown maybe taking some materials out of the Fordo nuclear site. Certainly, the Iranians, I think, would be smart enough to evacuate and recognize that sometime within that 2-week window that President Trump talked about, a strike could happen. It was another situation where I think even after President Trump made the strike, as he said Saturday night, I mean, he's still willing to have a conversation with the Iranians now and try to put them on a path where they can be a successful country. I mean, he's now coined the term MIGA, make Iran great again. And I just don't know if with the Ayatollah in charge, that's going to be possible. But certainly Trump seems to be opening the door and making a case that it could be.
I think we can all agree that every country around the world does not want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. For the last 40 years, everybody's been saying, no, they shouldn't. And every president has said, well, we're going to do something about that. And every single time, Rob, the Iranian government found a way to weasel around it and still continue to enrich uranium. Donald Trump is basically saying, no, you're not doing it on my watch anymore. This 40-year run is over. And that's what he's doing. And somebody's got to do it, Rob.
Absolutely. He is the one who has said, I think he saw the opportunity that the Israelis created with their attack and the fact that they knocked out all of the air defenses that Iran has. We have significantly the Israelis have significantly degraded their ability to strike. There has been a loss of life in Israel. We shouldn't ignore that. I believe 24 people have died and 1,300 wounded. So, I mean, significant people suffering there in Israel. But ultimately, yes, that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for peace. We're hoping that the Iranians, after, going back 45 years to 1979, have been engaged in behavior like this. It's about time that a U.S. president finally put an end to it.
And one thing that I didn't realize, and I was very I enjoyed finding out that our chairman of the Joint Chiefs is nicknamed Raising Cane. I think that's pretty.
Yes.
Pretty damn cool. All right, Rob, we'll try to sort this all out. If we need you before Monday, we're going to come a-calling, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Vic and Ken. Have a great week.
Take care, Rob.
Rob Bluey, president and executive editor of the Daily Signal. Obama bombed so many countries without congressional approval. Oh, and Trump does it. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't
if you don't believe that, we've got proof.
That's right. And you and Rob both double team me on Thunderstealing. See my pad here?
Yeah.
It says first they had to get Ukrainian flags, and then they had to get Palestinian flags, and then they had to get Mexican flags, and now they got to go out and buy Iranian flags. Thunderstealers all around me. All right, coming up next, it's That's Crap on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Follow us on Rumble at NewstalkSTL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
You've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Correct! Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship, the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new NewstalkSTL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone.
Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
End of quote. Repeat the line.
On NewstalkSTL.
All right. Welcome to our Monday. Lots to do today. We will absolutely honor another veteran at 11:05 today. And Karen Kataline, Ken and Karen are kind of like, doing stuff behind my back here. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, she sent me something,
which I didn't see for some reason. So you guys are going to lay that on me at 10 o'clock? Is that what
yes.
you're going to do? Okay, fair enough. So thanks so much. All right. Vic Brevette's coming up at 11:05. Right now, it's time for everybody's favorite game show. That's Crap.
Welcome to That's Crap. It's the game where we find out if it's the truth or if that's crap. Here's the host of That's Crap, Vic Porcelli.
Thank you, Jim Otto. Good morning, studio audience. Whoa, Ken, look at those ladies with their signs that say "We love Ken."
Wonder where they had those made. That's pretty cool.
Probably a sign place on Manchester.
Or USAID.
All right, so as Jim said, it's the game where we try to find out if it's the truth or if that's crap. And today our contestant grew up on the mean streets in the ghettos of Ladue, Missouri. God, could you imagine the disadvantage in life she had growing up in Ladue?
Yeah, it makes you wonder, or it makes you, it kind of explains why she has this axe to grind.
Yes. And then she went to MICDS and Rosati Kane, where I believe she talked that ghetto all the time, I'm sure, in the hallways. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
The nuns loved all that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I guess you figured out we're talking about Jasmine Crockett. And the category today is Trump didn't tell us we were going to bang Iran.
Yeah, y'all was talking about accountability. The systems have broken down. The systems have broken down because people have legitimately decided that they would rather serve him than serve the people that put him into office. Like, I don't really have any, good answers for you, except for the fact that legitimately everything that he does is against the law. He just breaks the law. And I know that there are some people that think that I just say this stuff because I'm a Democrat. And I can tell you, I have my own issues with my own party. I'm not saying these things because I'm a Democrat. I'm saying these things because I am a Black woman in America who just happens to be educated enough to know what the law is. And I can tell you that while some people want to disparage my credibility and act as if I don't know what I'm talking about, I can absolutely guarantee to you that if you Google war and authority and constitution, you're going to see Congress. And this thing that's like on my chest tells you that I am a member of Congress.
Okay, well, we got some problems here.
You think?
Jasmine, first of all, we don't think that you don't have the right answers because you're a Democrat. We just think you don't have the right answers because you're stupid.
Yeah, that's plain and simple. But she says, though, I happen to be rather educated.
Yeah, and she was. I mean, you know, I'm not going to take that away from her. Somehow, post-education, pre-Congress, she turned into a different person.
Absolutely. We've got proof of that, too.
Walked into the phone booth and came out crazy Jasmine.
Yeah.
You know? So I just took her advice and I Googled the word war. And I'll be damned, I don't see the word Congress anywhere on here. She said I would see it as soon as I...
Right. Just Google war.
Right.
That's what she said.
And that's where it would be. I
had a question about the beginning when she says systems. The systems are broken down. What systems are we talking about here?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, there is a system of the republic. It's democracy. But I don't understand what she's talking about when she says the systems have broken down. The systems have broken down.
So the category today being bombing other countries. I wonder if we could find out if Jasmine is telling the truth or if that's crap with the former president of the United States. Ken, do you think we can do that? Because I'm sure it's happened before.
Today I authorized 2 operations in Iraq.
Stop. He authorized. Congress didn't authorize.
Wait a minute. I better replay that.
Today I authorized 2 operations in Iraq.
How about that?
Wow.
And that's operations, not just a bombing raid like we did Saturday.
Right.
Go ahead.
Targeted airstrikes to protect our American personnel. Last night, on my orders, America's armed forces began strikes against ISIL targets in Syria.
Stop. Under his order, no Congress, no nothing. Strikes against ISIL. And he always said ISIL because that was like showing them respect. We say ISIS. He always said ISIL. I don't know if you ever noticed that.
Well, there was a two points to that. It was number one, showing respect to his brethren. And also he was trying to show that I am the one who's educated here.
Right.
I understand these people.
So that's 2. Go ahead.
Today, at my direction, the United States launched a targeted operation against that compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan.
Stop.
Pakistan.
Abbottabad?
Abbottabad.
I just like saying that.
Remember, though, he said Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Pakistan. He always said Pakistan. Go ahead.
They did well. Today, I authorized the armed forces of the United States to begin a limited military action in Libya. Because in
Libya? Oh, I ain't never heard of Libya.
Our national security.
Who's that?
I don't know. But he was the one who was showing everybody, hey, everybody, Donald Trump should have done what he did, and look who else did it.
Is there any more to that, or
No,
is that
no,
it?
that's
Okay,
it.
that's that. So, Jasmine, I think we've definitely proved that that's crap. No, it's not how I thought it was. Okay. So anyway, people, you can almost predict what people are going to say about what happened on Saturday, right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
And I'll say that I'm sure people can predict what you and I were going to say about this today, about Saturday.
Well, for good reason, because we're all in for the policies of the Trump administration. Now, what you'll hear people say is, oh, you're just a sycophant for Trump. You're just drinking the Kool-Aid. No, I agree with the policies of this president and his administration. Understand that. I find it really interesting because I had a little debate with somebody on our website or on our Facebook page this weekend.
Oh.
And what Democrats will do, if you debate them, especially online where you're texting back and forth, they will tell you how you feel.
Right.
They will say, well, Ken Williams, he does this, that, and the other. And I'm like, where are you hearing this? Because I never said that to you.
Mm-hmm.
And they continue with it. And to the point where I'm just like, whatever. Okay.
So that's on just a basic human level, right? Just you and some other person. Now elevate that to the point of Congress, right?
Yes.
And how big it gets to attack somebody like they attacked you.
Great point. Yeah.
Anyway, that's all the time we have for That's Crap.
This is Jim Modulin speaking for That's Crap. Hey, Mark Goodson, Bill Todman, radio production.
Thank you, Jim Modulin. This is Vic Porcelli saying help control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody. So that guy, the guy that was talking in between Obama that said Syria, do you know that was Terrence K. Williams? Do you know Terrence K. Williams?
I know Terrence. Yeah, I know him, but I don't think it was that him.
Oh, I don't know. I'm asking.
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
No,
okay.
I know who that is.
He started getting famous by having a 2-screen video, right?
Yeah.
The video he wanted to make fun of was on one side, and then he was on the other side with a milkshake, looking at that video, going, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting invited to dinners at the White House and stuff.
So maybe we should do that. Maybe we should get some side-by-side videos and start doing that.
Well, maybe we can just send President Trump some cookies.
Oh, that might be a good idea. Well, actually, we have that going on.
And we have an update on that going on.
Yeah, we do.
So that's going to be, if you can hang out with us, we want you to hang out with us, of course, throughout the whole 3-hour tour. 10:25, we're going to give you a major update on the cookies because there was controversy.
Oh, yeah.
The cookies never made it to their intended location as of Friday.
And Nate sounded sincere when he said that. He didn't sound like he was harboring them.
He didn't sound like that to me. It sounded like he had already ate 3 before he talked
Really?
to us.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. How can you not? Trolley Stop chocolate chip cookies. Do you not remember you had the bag that the chocolate chip cookie came in taped to your notebook?
Yeah, I did. It was so good that I couldn't let go of it. I had it on there forever.
I thought that was so funny. So you get the box of cookies, and then each cookie is in this plastic little envelope.
And it has an adhesive little tab on it.
And Ken had it taped to his, big important notebook that he has there for the show. So anyway, we'll update you on the cookies. We hope it's a good update. Can never be sure about anything.
Yeah.
And I know this is stupid, Ken, but we forgot to do something on Friday, and I would like to take care of that at that time too, 10:25.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be good.
All right. Been a whole lot better since the bitch left town. That's the first line of the song.
Is it really?
Yeah, listen. This is Little Miss Camp You're Wrong.
How many times have we played this on the river and I never knew this?
Here it comes.
I swear I never knew that.
Spin Doctors! All right, so we talked about Juneteenth, which was Thursday or Friday of last week. I guess it was Friday or Thursday. And Terris Todd from Project 21 and the National Center for Public Policy Research is going to help us understand Juneteenth.
Yes.
Okay, so that's next on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Vic and Ken. Vic can make oleo. Ken can't pronounce oleo. The Vic Porcelli Show on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I got news for you. Neither of you can pronounce it.
I know.
You got to learn the words.
You got to do.
Garlic. Ayo. And oil. Oleo. It should be easy. So,
oleo.
Oh, God.
Oil.
You people all hate Italians. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
I'm going to protest in the streets and have dozens of people with me.
Tens, I tell you.
All right. So if you have a tree in your yard and when you move, because, you move into a house, right? You stay there for 25, 30 years. You don't really realize, just like your kids, right? You don't realize your kids are growing until, whoops, look, they're adults. And same thing with trees. You just don't realize how big they're going to get and how big they got in that time. So senior citizen trees, let's call them senior citizen trees, could use some help. And Roots Plus comes to the rescue to try to save trees. They inject these nutrients. It's a patented thing that Stan has, and they'll work to save that tree first. Now, if it's not possible, then they can remove the tree for you. But it's also risk-free. Everything you spent trying to save the trees goes towards the tree removal if the saving of the tree does not work. they love trees, okay, and they want to save your tree. So go to rootsplusllc.com. That's rootsplusllc.com, or 314-440-3662, 314-440-3662 for Roots Plus. Tell them Vic said hi.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 425. At 525, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
Hey, Mike Ferguson here. And for nearly 40 years, Nutrition Stop has been St. Peter's trusted source for natural living. They've got a great, knowledgeable staff offering more than just products. They provide guidance on your wellness journey with exceptional service, from 100% grass-fed meats like elk and bison and local produce to quality supplements and clean household products. 4101 Mexico Road in St. Peter's, just off the interstate at Cave Springs and Highway 70.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor for all your roofing needs. Visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER Roofing.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
As President Lincoln said,
what, you have a cough due to cold?
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Hi, good morning, everybody. How you doing? It's Monday. I'm going to get more thoughts and opinions on what happened on Saturday from not just us and stuff, but we have a Delta Force veteran is going to talk to us at 10:41. His name is Tyler Gray, and this guy is a badass. Okay, when you look in the dictionary and you look up badass, Tyler Gray's picture should be there. Okay?
That's right.
Should say, oh, look, that's what a badass is, Tyler Gray. And, you know, I mean, because this attack was necessary. And it's not like we said, hey, we're going to bomb you now. 60 days they had. 60 days Iran had to enter some kind of talk, some kind of meaningful dialogue between Iran and Israel and the United States. And they didn't do it. And on the 61st day, Donald Trump said, okay, because that's another one. Rob Bluey brought up another little deceptive move that Trump did with our hit on Saturday was when he said, well, you know, 2 weeks, we're going to give him 2 weeks. And the media, you know, they all think they're so smart. Oh, he's not going to do anything for 2 weeks. Come on, let's go have some drinks. And then all of a sudden, pow, 2 days later, great deception. Ken, besides sending the B2s, the decoy B2s one way, and then sending the real ones the other way. So good job, U.S. military. Good job, President Trump. And, you know, it's one of those things where the arguments will continue. The experts on Facebook, the same ones that were experts on vaccines during COVID. I mean, you pick the topic, and then there's experts on social media, and it's the same people. It's the same people who have to follow in line, and they don't believe that these airstrikes were legal. Why is that? Well, because it's Donald Trump. When it's Barack Obama, it was just fine. When it was Bill Clinton, it was just fine. But if it's Donald Trump, it's not fine. Don't you understand? He's terrible. He's the worst person in the whole world. And you can't get in. I'll tell you what, that audio we played you from Van Jones, I don't know if you know Van Jones, but he works at CNN. I get it. If you don't watch CNN, I don't blame you. But, you know, he said, yeah, we needed to do this. And at least he's telling the truth now. He didn't in 2016 when Donald Trump won the election because he called it a whitewash. This is a whitewash. And, Scott Jennings, I think, really, really shook people up at CNN because he's a great conservative. He's the one conservative voice on the television station. And, he tells the people who are vastly liberal on CNN what's what. And I think he knows, Van Jones knows, that if he said, oh, Trump's going to get us into World War III, Scott Jennings would have said, you just slow down.
Right.
That's not going to happen. So good for Scott Jennings. And we got to give Van Jones a little credit.
Well, we have to, but the interesting thing about Van Jones is he used to be considered far left.
I know. That's what I just said.
Oh.
I mean, I know you're busy doing your thing. I know. I get it. But that's exactly right. Whitewash. Remember he called the 2016 election, this is a whitewash.
Right.
When Trump won. All right. Is our friend Terris Todd ready to talk to us?
Yes, he is.
Terris, how are you, my friend?
Doing good, my friend. God bless you all. Thanks for having me again.
Right back at you. All right. So let's talk about Juneteenth. It really is an important thing, a thing we should celebrate every year. But I don't understand the word. Can you just explain the word Juneteenth to me?
Sure. Yeah. June meaning the month of June, but obviously the 19th. So all they did was drop the 9 and just took the 10th from it. And so they just combined it and made it Juneteenth. The day in which was celebrated that the folks that were still enslaved in the state of Texas, they had received word that they were no longer enslaved according to the federal government. And so the Emancipation Proclamation had taken place. And so that's when they were given word that they were no longer enslaved. And so that's why, some people do celebrate that moment, because it was our nation putting on display what it actually meant in our Constitution, that all men are created equal, and that we're striving for a more perfect union for the most part. And so that's why a lot of people really continue to celebrate that day.
I'm all for it.
And to be honest, yeah, oh, absolutely. To be honest, even Black Americans, there are some Black Americans that are split on it. Some think that it's literally like a mockery. Why are we celebrating when they finally got news when they were actually freed 2 years prior? So there's some people that are split on it, but for the most part, I think it is worthy of celebration because it does prove that we are striving to be a more perfect union and so on. So anyway, that's what it is. So that's where Juneteenth comes from.
I agree with all that. My point is, why not just call it June 19th, like the 4th of July?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't know who came up with the term, but that's what they've done, So yeah, you're absolutely right. Why not just call it June 19th, So I agree.
This has been going on for a lot longer than Joe Biden, because Joe Biden thinks he invented Juneteenth, right? That was his idea. He freed the slaves, right?
Yeah. What's interesting about it too, instead of being focused on the fact that they were freed, through the Emancipation Proclamation, President Lincoln, that a war was fought, many lives were lost, but the Union Army actually won. And so therefore it set us up to be freed at that moment through the Emancipation Proclamation. Instead of focusing on that, let's now divert our attention to, which in true leftist fashion, let's take away from that and let's just focus on the fact that we made it a federal holiday,
Yeah.
So yeah, and then that gets more praise than the actual freedom itself.
Right, exactly right. It was a state holiday here in Missouri, right?
Yeah,
Patty was off Monday, wasn't she?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. And to be honest, what's really even more sad though, when you think about it, and some people are even saying that, are we actually celebrating true freedom, or did we celebrate the announcement of it? And the reason why I say that is because even when they were giving word that they were no longer to be enslaved, that they were now legally free in this nation from the enslavement, there were those who still remained. There were those who never left. They remained on the plantation because they knew nowhere of which they were to go. They didn't believe that they could live outside of what what they've always known for many years. And so again, I think, some people are also saying that, obviously we're just celebrating the announcement of their freedom, not when they became actually free, because again, some have actually remained on that plantation as well. And so anyway,
so
you have mixed feelings.
I got to tell you, I like the moment that everyone knew. Every black
right.
person in
right.
America knew that they were
That's
free.
right.
I think that's the way to go on that.
That's
yeah,
right.
I
That's
totally
right.
agree with
That's
that.
right.
Hey, Terris, also, Emancipation Proclamation, that was designed, that was actually helped along by the Republicans against the Democrats. Am I correct on this?
You're correct 100%.
Okay.
100%.
So they're taking ownership of it, and like you said, it's more important that they're owning it than actually the action. It's the celebration itself. Correct.
Right, and it's correct. And they do the same thing. They somehow, even those who it was Republicans, Republican majority that had passed the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments as well. It was Republican majorities that also passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Voting Rights Act of 1965 in record fashion to the tune of like maybe 83% or so. Only about 69% of Democrats even voted. Even though they had the majority in Congress and they had the White House, they still couldn't get the bill passed. And that is also confirmed, by the way, of Malcolm X during that time in the 60s, because if you Google or if you go on to YouTube and type in Malcolm X political chumps, there's an excerpt from his entire speech called The Ballad of the Bullet. There's an excerpt from there about maybe 2 to 4 minutes of Malcolm X blasting the left because they couldn't get it done. So they have proven who they really are because they had the majority in Congress and they had the White House, but yet couldn't pass Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. And so it was majority Republicans that actually passed those bills. And so, of course, they still try to take credit for that stuff. And unfortunately, people who may not know that history and may not know that to be true, they fall for it every time.
And I believe it was Malcolm X who said the biggest enemy to black people are white liberals.
You're absolutely right, 100%. But if you go in the black community and ask them how they feel about Malcolm X, oh, we down with Malcolm X. That's our boy. We about that any means necessary. Oh, okay. But this is what he said about them, though. Oh, really? Oh, he said, oh, yeah, that's what he said.
Same thing about Martin Luther King. You know, I mean,
Absolutely.
He was more of a Republican than he was a liberal.
Oh, yeah, he was good friends with Republicans. He was actually had a good friendship with President Nixon. Absolutely. But that's when they say party switch because Kennedy, during that election, during that time, I think it was called Race to the White House. It was a documentary that was out. And of course, the left kind of hijacks it because Kennedy was the one that actually made the call to, I think, a jail warden and had him freed from the Birmingham jail. And so that's how they kind of hijacked that, is saying, oh, well, that's when parties start shifting whatever towards the left and the party switch. There was no party switch. They just changed their strategy on how they appeal to black people.
Malcolm X, I looked it up. Malcolm X used the term political Trump to describe black Americans who continued to vote for the Democrat Party despite the party's failure to deliver on promises made during the election time.
There you go.
That's true. 100%.
So let's talk about Joe Biden, okay? Because a guy who thinks he's so important in the celebrating of Juneteenth is the biggest racist on the planet.
You know what? You're absolutely. And what's sad, what's even more sad about that is that there are black Americans who have known it for years, but still got in line with Joe Biden, even though Kamala Harris, I got to give her some credit, she called him out during the debate.
Yeah.
Called him out for his bigotry and hanging with supremacists and so on. And yet they still went in lockstep with him to support him.
Yep. She said,
that's sad, man.
She told the story about the little girl on the bus, and that little girl, look at me. Okay, so so here's the thing. Okay, why? This is why I will never understand the liberal mind, Terris, ever. Why then do black people hang on every word Joe Biden said when he was trying to introduce the Secretary of the Defense, Lloyd Austin, and said, and the black guy? That's how he introduced him.
Oh yeah, he's some other people boy. I think it was LL Cool J. He called him a boy, and then he, heard him switched it. I mean, he can't help himself. It's in him, man. It's in him, and black people know that. But they just get in line, man. I mean, and that's very sad because people who are truly free can call that stuff out, and not worry about what kind of recourse they're going to get. And see, that's where I'm at too, man. I at least want you to be balanced in this thing. Call everybody out, but when it's one-sided, that's where that's where we lose.
Everything.
Go
ahead.
No, I'm okay. I'm listening.
I was going to say, that's how everything is in this country, right? I mean, let's take what
Yeah.
happened Saturday in Iran. All the Democrats, oh my God, he didn't tell us. And the Republicans, oh, good shot. You know what I mean? I mean, everything that happens in America is drawn right between the line of Democrat and Republican, everything.
Yeah. What's sad about it too is that it was confirmed this morning. I saw the White House press secretary. She did come out and at least confirm that there were Dems that were actually called. Hakeem Jeffries, he didn't pick the phone up. Schumer was called as well, and they even showed him the timestamp on the calls that that were made prior to them even acting. And so anyway, but again, where's that same energy though? When Obama bombed Libya, which was an African country, which was an African man, a man of color who was leading that nation. Where was the same energy? Where was that same energy when the Clintons went into Haiti when they had the earthquake and raised $1 billion, and the Haitians never saw that money?
Not a dime.
Where was this? You know what I mean? So where was the same energy during those moments? And so that's what's really frustrating about some of these things where, when they become one-sided like that.
How convenient, right? How convenient to say, well, the president never told us. Well, you didn't pick up your phone. Yeah, but he never told us, right? What a convenient
Right, yeah, that's true.
lie of omission. God, they're terrible. They're terrible people.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. I just sit back and just shake my head, man. I'm like, this cannot be happening. But that's why, there are a lot of us who are for term limits, because when you're there for so long, and Byron Donalds is absolutely correct in saying when you're there for so long, that's when it becomes about you more so than the people you're called to serve. And so when you're there hanging out for 20, 30, 40, and 50 years, it's all about you now, and you're not thinking about the people you're serving. And some of these people have been there for 40 years or 50 years. You can't think of the last time they even got a bill, passed with bipartisan support to really be a blessing to the people. Because they don't have to, they don't have, it's the best gig in town for them. They, they get a nice salary. They have everybody waiting on them hand and foot. And so that's just them. They're riding it out until they leave the planet,
That's a brilliant point. And how are 20 years from now kids going to be taught when they say, hey, who is Donald Trump? Are the people going to say, well, the black folk used to love him, right?
Yeah.
Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and Don King.
Yeah.
They all loved him. Well, why didn't they love him anymore? Well, because he became a Republican, honey. And, black people can't like Republicans. That's what I fear will happen.
Well, yeah, but that's also what recently, the NACP. I'm a past, branch president of the NACP. I'm a lifetime member of the NACP, and it's unfortunate that for the first time in their history, they didn't invite a sitting president. Get a load of that. They didn't invite a sitting president to attend their national conference in July.
Yeah. I don't get it.
So it's very unfortunate, but I'm like, okay, here's child's play all over again. What is that all about? At least Jesus, for those who follow Christ, he at least went and sat with those he knew were doing wrong, and then had the nerve to call him a fascist. I'm like, well, where were you at when the Wuhan virus was floating around and black folks were being demanded to take the shot?
Right.
And they didn't want to. You know what I mean? Like, where were you at when they were going door to door in the hood of D.C. trying to encourage those people to take the shot when they didn't want to? And then when they didn't do it, they were then told they needed to show a vaccine passport in order to go eat at a restaurant. What kind of nonsense is that? You're talking about fascism.
Right.
My goodness.
Exactly right. Terris Todd from the National Center and, of course, Project 21. Terris, always good to talk to you. We'll talk again
You
very
too.
soon.
Bless you, man. Thank you.
Hey, bless you, Terris. See ya.
He's got great points. I think we had great points.
Yep.
4th of July, June 19th. I think it's all the same.
All right.
This is Katie McKinney, founder and head of school for Lafayette Academy in Lake St. Louis. Recently, we had a new second grader come to Lafayette Academy who claimed he was stupid and hated reading. Within months of using our world-class literacy program, he was reading Harry Potter and loving it. He had just not been given the right tools. We invite you to our open house Wednesday, June 25th from 5 till 7 and hear from our current families and learn more about our dedicated teachers and world-class curriculum. To learn more, go to LafayetteAcademy.org. That's LafayetteAcademy.org.
Attention, reptile lovers. Ready to discover your next scaly friend? Welcome to the Show Me Reptile Shop, your ultimate destination for fascinating reptiles and exotic pets, with 3 convenient locations in Troy, St. Peters, and Springfield. We have an amazing selection of snakes, lizards, turtles, and more. Whether you're a seasoned herpetologist or a curious beginner, we've got the perfect pet waiting for you. Show Me Reptile Shop. Visit us in Troy, St. Peters, or Springfield, and online at showmereptileshow.com.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Human trafficking is occurring right here in Missouri. You can help combat it by learning the signs of human trafficking and reporting suspicious activity to law enforcement. Victims may appear malnourished, show signs of mental or physical abuse, or avoid social interaction. If you're a victim or know someone who needs help, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or text the word HELP to Be Free. Together, we can fight human trafficking in Missouri.
Brought to you by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Israel's military says it's not through with Iran just yet. On X, the military writes, "Dear citizens of Tehran, in the coming days, the Israeli army will continue its attacks against military targets in the Tehran region. To maintain your personal safety, we ask you to stay away from weapons production centers, military bases, and security institutions affiliated with the regime." The aftermath of the U.S. attacks on Iran's nuclear sites, damage assessment is underway, and it looks as if the attacks were highly effective.
The head of the United Nations nuclear watchdog, Rafael Mariano Grossi, says very heavy damage is expected at Iran's underground facility at Fordo after a US airstrike there this weekend with sophisticated bunker buster bombs. Grossi adds, given the explosive payload utilized and the extreme vibration-sensitive nature of centrifuges, very significant damage is expected to have occurred. But he cautions, at this time no one, including the IAEA, is in a position to fully assess the underground damage at Fordo. I'm Charles Philadesma.
The State Department urging Americans not to let down their guard. President Trump calls the weekend military action a spectacular military success. But there is concern about potential retaliation, including inside the U.S., given the number of Iranian nationals allowed in under President Biden. Border Czar Tom Homan has said that the open border posed the greatest national security threat in U.S. history. An extreme heat wave spreading across the country, pushing temperatures and humidity levels into dangerous territory. Tens of millions of Americans are feeling the heat. They're urged to hydrate and stay as cool as they can. On Wall Street, the Dow 111 points higher. The Nasdaq is up 109 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Mike Gallagher here, host of the Mike Gallagher Show. If you know me, you know I only put my name behind people and companies I trust. When it comes to mortgages, I trust Mike and Brian at Fellowship Home Loans. They're not just friends. They've done loans for me, my family. I've seen firsthand how they treat every client like their family. And these days, that personal touch really matters. With the cost of everything up, you might be looking for ways to free up cash. Maybe you're thinking about a cash out refi or HELOC to finish some home projects, consolidate debt, or just get ahead financially. Fellowship is a full-service direct lender, not a broker. They cut out the middleman. That means faster decisions, fewer fees, and less stress. Whether you're buying your first home, downsizing, or refinancing to get some breathing room, they'll tailor fit the loan to your life. Get started at fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Onder Law. Call for a free consultation because winning is what we do at Onder Law. Call 314 or 618-9000. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Still sunny and hot out there. The high temperature today in the mid-90s and that heat index up to 102 under sunny skies. Overnight lows near 80 and a high tomorrow in the mid-90s. Once again, that heat index up over 100. So we're shaving a few degrees off the temperatures, but not by much. It does look like we could see a spot shower or thunderstorm on Tuesday afternoon. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com. Vic Porcelli.
Come on, you're Italian. You understand.
Every day is a busy day all of a sudden.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so, he's definitely Italian.
At least I have this show to come and talk about it and let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
All right, hour number 2 of our 3-hour tour. Karen Kataline will be with us in just seconds. We do have an update on the cookies. Cookie update coming by at 10:25. And then Tyler Gray, who, if you could see his picture, his name should be Bad Ass. Mr. Ass, badass, because he's a badass. And he's going to talk to us about the big hit on Iran over the weekend. And of course, we will honor another veteran at 11:05 this morning. So stick around, lots to do. Let's get Jewish. That should be a game show.
The one and only Karen Kataline.
Did you know that I'm married to a trucker? I feel like using a Yiddish word, famished. Spoiling in front of my computer, I am. They're just too dumb to lie. He has the effect of 6 shots of scotch.
This is you're colonizers. You saw the map, mother. You saw the map. When the last time you opened the map? You can't see Israel in the map. You need to zoom in, zoom in. And also, already when you zoom in the Israel, the name of the country, you can put in the country. You can put the country in the country. 22 Muslim countries surround us. You can have a place in the bold letters. Egypt. Syria. Israel, you colonizers, shame on you colonizers. In our country, 2 million Arabs here with us, and we're fine. That's fine. We accept everyone. We love them. You know how many Jews in the 22 countries around us? How many Jews there? 2 Yemenites.
Is that
2 Yemenites?
That's a stand-up act, right?
That's a stand-up act. His name is Yochai Sponder.
I love it.
He's funny.
Now listen, something he said there, right? You always call Israel postage stamp, right? And he's saying the same thing. And then as I'm listening to him talk, you can't even write the word Israel on the map because it's so small. Right. But yet Iran and Iraq are so big and they only got 4 words. You can fit plenty of their name into their countries, right?
We are occupiers.
Yeah.
We're occupiers.
So what were you doing Saturday? Were you having dinner when you heard about all this or what?
Well, actually, I went over to some neighbor's house. And my husband, they have a game room. He was playing pool with some friends. They wanted to play cards, and it was like dice or some stupid game that I really didn't want to be there. But it was okay. And a friend of mine in New York calls me, who never calls me unless and gives me news, Mm-hmm. And the last time she called me was when Trump got shot.
Wow.
Did you know? And so she's calling me. I went, oh crap.
Boy, here we go.
And she told me that, and I had to get out of there as quickly as possible. And I made a hasty exit, telling a few lies and saying, I'm a talk show host. I have to go.
Yeah, well, I have research I got to do. Get me out of here.
I got to do. Yeah, it was really just that I wanted to glue myself to the TV and hoop and holler and see what was going on. Obviously, I wanted every bit of news I could get.
Yeah.
So I came home. It was really, down the street or whatever, and I watched it. And it was stunning. I mean, what adjectives do we have? I have not heard whether any humans have actually been killed because of those bombings. It is significant, highly significant to point that out, I think, because the precision with which the United States and America does such things. And of course, we're getting all kinds of pushback and hate and stuff from people in our own country, and lots is yet to happen. But in my opinion, it was enormous on so many levels. I can only pray that China doesn't get involved and start sending them more nukes. I think a lot of people are on edge and are concerned as well, that we all should be. But the illusion, I have to say this, but the illusion that somehow you are protecting peace when a maniac country has a nuclear weapon and can blow things up anytime they want, is tantamount to, what was the guy's name in World War II? Ken, the person who reads my mind. What
Hitler?
No, the guy that in Britain who said, "No, let's just appease Hitler."
Winston Churchill?
No,
it was
what was his name? Nobody can remember his name.
Yeah, it was the king, wasn't it? Or
no, it was. They always use him. Forgive me, that's terrible. I can't remember these names so quickly right off the top of my head. No, Churchill absolutely was the opposite of that. But he had to fight somebody. It'll come to me. If I could look it up right now, I would. He's the guy that symbolizes appeasement with evil. He says, well, let's just do what he says. Let's keep kicking the can down the road. And it was such an incredible opportunity. And of course, this is what POTUS 44 enabled and allowed and sponsored and incited. We have to say it. And now people are saying it.
Yeah. And of course.
And Hillary too.
Right. And
Sorry.
No, it's okay. And of course, the left, they're all, they got their panties in a bunch because they didn't find out about it. But it was a weird, convenient omission because Trump did call Schumer. He did call Hakeem Jeffries, and they didn't answer. So they didn't find out about it because they didn't answer. But they can say, well, he didn't tell us.
Yeah. Well, and we found out Neville Chamberlain.
Yes, I was just looking at it.
We found out that they lie when Trump does inform them, trying to claim credibility they do not have. Can you say Gavin Newsom when he said, "Oh, Trump never called me," and then they produced records that indeed he did call him, and so. How is it you can assume credibility you never earned and you've lost a long time ago? That's what's going on.
I know this, hey, Vic and Karen, I know this is going to sound crazy, but maybe that's a plan of theirs all along. Hey, listen, if Donald Trump calls during his whole 4-year presidency, don't answer it. Don't answer the phone.
Well, yeah. I mean, their entirety of their politics involves being the opposite of Trump, doing the opposite of Trump, opposing everything Trump does. And Trump has used that to his advantage in some of the most brilliant of ways, because now we have pro-Iran nukes in the Democrat Party. We have pro-Hamas. We have pro-Hezbollah. We have pro-terrorist and pro-rapists and murderer illegal aliens in the Democrat Party.
Right.
That's what we got.
Well,
and that's all because they're knee-jerk haters and because, of course, they're morons. But other than that, they're fine. They're good people.
Yes. Like the LA County Sheriff who sent out condolences to Iran for the nuclear targets being destroyed.
I just posted that. I just saw that. As I was waiting to come on, I just saw that.
How stupid is it?
And this is the reason why people in Los Angeles are not protected from either wildfires, riots, or anything else, because the woke people that have been DEI hires in LA have no moral compass whatsoever. Good is evil and evil is good.
Right.
When you are operating under those circumstances, you can't feel safe or protected.
Right.
And that is what we are watching, is this continually turning right side up of what we were living in. And that doesn't mean that Trump is always right, but he doesn't have a broken moral compass.
Right. And it's funny that, how many presidents have said, how many presidents have you heard say, we're going to move the embassy to Jerusalem, right?
Yeah.
Nobody did it. Trump had the balls to do it, right? And no, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They all said it, and Trump does it. So they all say what they want and what we should do. Trump does it, and somehow he still sucks. I just
And the
understand.
ones that didn't do it when they said that's what they believed because they were lying are some of the first people to criticize when he goes and does what they didn't have the guts to do because they don't want to be exposed. But guess what? They're already exposed. We can see who they are. Their masks are off. We know who they are.
So one Democrat who completely supports this, John Fetterman.
How about that?
What do you think? I love it.
I love it too. I love it too. When he was, when he looked like he was brain damaged and going along and being used as a puppet, like Biden was used like a puppet, they loved him. Now he seems to be getting his brain back and they hate him. What's that tell you?
Boy, that's out of a science fiction movie, isn't it?
It is.
When he can't think, we will use him for our purposes.
Remember Charlie with Cliff Robertson a million years ago?
Oh, yeah. Charlie was like, something wrong with him.
Well, it was a little like the Robert De Niro movie, Tui, Robert De Niro, when he had this window of health, shadows or whatever it was called, when they find this miracle drug that helps him out of his catatonic state. Charlie, they found a miracle drug that helped him out of his retardation, but then the drug didn't last long enough. I remember that movie really quite well. It made an impression on me. And then he went back to where he was. And he wasn't just not retarded anymore. He was brilliant. And then the drug began to wear off. It sort of reminds me of that.
Who played Charlie? Sorry, I don't want to
Cliff Robertson.
Right.
Cliff Robertson, who was blackballed, because of McCarthy era.
All right. Did he win an Academy Award for that?
I believe he did.
Because that was one when they would list, if you play someone who is retarded, you win the Academy Award, right? Tom Hanks in Forrest Gump, Cliff Robertson and Charlie, and there's been others.
Yeah.
I think who was no, that's something different.
Or
What
in
about
some way
Tropic Thunder?
disabled. I mean, I think of Patty Duke. What little girl didn't love Patty Duke and The Miracle Worker?
Right.
Charlie was, I think, in the 60s, in the mid to late 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I was really young then.
Me too.
And but I do remember that movie. And it appears that Fetterman has brain cells that are starting to rejuvenate again, and he's just not being the puppet they want him to be. Did you hear a couple of months ago there was a conspiracy exposed to try and bump him off? Why? For the same reason. It's so funny. Now suddenly, months later, they want to get rid of him, saying that he wasn't competent because of his surgery or whatever. They were going to find any excuse to get rid of him now that he's getting better, which kind of tells you
how evil they are.
Anybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much that's it. I mean, anybody who cheers evil and punishes good, what are you going to say about him?
Yeah. So I do know that Kathy just loves you. Patty loves to lose control. Hot dog makes what do I do it? I love Patty Duke because
I loved her too. And who in their right mind thinks, or did we used to think that cousins are identical?
Right.
What?
Exactly. TV will tell you anything. TV will tell you anything.
I used to think, does that mean that two identical sets of twins married two other identical sets of twins and ended up with identical children?
You're way over my head right now.
I don't know.
Idea. And by
That's
we
the
should probably
only way it
mention
could happen, maybe?
that Patty Duke played Helen Keller in The Miracle Worker, right? We should probably mention that.
Yeah. There's something about little girls who watched that as kids that touched them, and it was a girl thing. I don't know, but it was powerful stuff.
All right. Last thing I want to bring up with
Yes.
you is this guy who shot the state representatives in Minnesota, right? He was appointed by Tim Walz. And now, in a letter to the FBI, this guy says, I'm just telling you what this guy said. He said Tim Walz asked him to kill Amy Klobuchar, so he could take over her Senate seat.
Wow.
And while we have heard that, and maybe or maybe not, we can't substantiate it. The tragedy is we know that's entirely possible with this bunch.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's proven true. We're going to suspend, we're going to wait until we get actual evidence, because after all, you are getting the confessions of a murderer. I'll tell you what I expected, and I don't know if I've seen anything to it yet. Here's a guy who has a history of working for this rabid, radical, and probably communist Democrat. And yet he comes in a fake cop car with a cowboy hat. Who do you think he's trying to
emulate?
Profess? Who do you think he's trying to, what's the word? Finger for his crimes. And then you find out that his target is someone who actually voted with the Republicans,
Right.
which is a horrifyingly tragic thing. The fact that they're not reporting any of this tells me that they're vulnerable. If they had any ability to use it as a tool against Republicans, it would be all over the news from now until next 2034.
They're lying by omission.
Both representatives that this guy shot, both voted with Republicans against Democrats. That's not a coincidence. I'm sorry. I don't believe in coincidences.
Nothing these days is a coincidence. And when you've done as much incitement and hate and calling your opponents Hitler, they are directly colluding and are culpable. They're directly. I mean, how many times have people gone to prison, maybe even the electric chair, for trying to hire somebody to kill their wife or to kill their husband or whatever? We want accountability, justice, and if necessary, prison for the people that are responsible. That's the only way that justice can be put back together again.
All right.
Accountability.
So we only have a couple of minutes left here, and I want to, if you guys would indulge me with a little story, I'll try to do it as short as I can. But Saturday when that happened, Jessica was upstairs just doing stuff, cleaning or whatever, and she was listening to music, so she had no TV on. So I had the TV on downstairs, and when it happened, I yelled to her. I said, "Hey, we hit him!" And that's how she found out, right? Was from me. So this has nothing to do with anything except the fact that, do you remember the name Sean Hornbeck? He was a kid from Missouri who was kidnapped and held for 4 years, Karen, 4 years. And then another local kid named Ben Ownby disappeared, right? So Sean Hornbeck's aunt, Ken and I worked at a great music radio station here in town, 101 The River. And I used to do the show called Porcelli's Tally, and people would call for requests and stuff, and it was fun. So Sean Hornbeck's aunt would call me every year on the anniversary of the day that he disappeared to play Train's Calling All Angels, right? So I come home one night, and I'm walking upstairs. Jessica's in the room. She's folding clothes and stuff. And as I'm walking up, she goes, "They found Sean Hornbeck." And I said, "Oh, they found his body?" She goes, "No, alive."
Oh, man.
They found Sean Hornbeck and this kid Ben Ownby together. This scumbag who worked at Emo's Pizza held them for 4 years and did who the hell knows what to these
in
kids.
Kirkwood, yeah.
But it was the same kind of thing where I gave Jessica the breaking news Saturday, and she gave me the super duper breaking news that they found Sean Hornbeck alive.
Yeah.
And you never forget those moments.
Never. My God,
Never.
Karen, never.
You're
All right.
such a mensch. Both of you are such mensches.
How do you, what's plural of mensch? Menschai? Menschy?
Menches?
Menches?
No,
Menches, more
it's
than one
menches.
mensch. Okay. All right, let's have some fun on Thursday, okay?
You betcha.
All right, have a great day, Karen.
All righty. Bye.
Bye, Karen.
I'll never forget it. Never forget. I was 3 steps from the second floor.
Yeah, one of the things, side note on that, I was emceeing a couple of events for Sean Hornbeck, and there was a big table of people, and there were actually people in the crowd at that point, just like 3 years in, kind of accusing the parents. It was really bizarre. Then they were there too, and I'm thinking, these parents want their son back.
Of course.
What are you guys doing?
Of course.
It's crazy.
I stopped dead when she said no, alive.
Well,
4 years. You're like,
pretty awesome.
Found the kid's body.
Well, yeah,
like,
right.
Terrible. God, terrible story. All right. So when we get back, we have a we have a news update, Ken.
We do.
Very important breaking news.
Yes, we do.
Update. Not as important as what happened Saturday. Matter of fact, not important at all. But
it's important.
It's important to us. That's next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Whoosh.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Be cool, honey bunnies. Be cool.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
All right, let's talk about our friend Chris Cooper, who has a great radio show here on News Talk STL every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. The show is called Serenity Wealth Now. Wow, that makes total sense. More sense than
Fun with Finance?
Right, which is fun.
It's included.
It's included in
the
there.
show.
It's like a subset of Serenity Wealth Now. So Chris Cooper, he was just in here, and we had a great conversation about what's happening in America right now. Will people get their Social Security, right? We talked about that at length the last time he came in. And I said to him, when you say something to somebody, especially a guest, and you start saying it, as you're saying it, they're starting to nod their head and their eyes get
they're
wide,
into it.
right?
Yeah.
When I brought up SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, I thought Chris's head was going to explode.
Right.
And then he said, absolutely. Then, Ken, why don't we hear about Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid every day? Why don't we hear about SSDI? Why?
Yeah.
What are they hiding?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay, sorry. But Chris was on my side on that, and I was really glad to see that, because if Chris Cooper agrees with me on something financial, then guess what? I nailed one. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
That's right.
All right, listen, get in touch with Chris. He'll give you some great information. And matter of fact, why don't you get his book to start off with, The New Holistic Retirement? You can get that at Serenity Now. Tax.com, Serenity Now, Tax.com, Serenity Now with Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.
Serenity Now!
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Are the days of a personal doctor gone? Not at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler to share how our design is putting the care back into healthcare. Plain and simple, our members, not insurance companies, get our exclusive focus. That means same or next day appointments, responsive answers to your concerns, and a no-spin, big tool chest approach. It's about time you get serious time devoted to your medical needs. To learn about healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
Military history buffs and collectors, attention. Looking for authentic military collectibles? Look no further than Alamo Military Collectibles, your one-stop shop for genuine military artifacts, firearms to uniforms, medals to memorabilia, pistols, rifles, bayonets, insignia, patches, helmets, field gear, and more. Both American and foreign pieces. We offer cash or consignment for your items. Alamo Military Collectibles. Visit us online at alamomilitary.com or call 314-638-6505 today.
Irrigation systems are put through the stress test throughout our hot Heartland summers when temperatures skyrocket and rain is scarce. Tim Jones here for Hydrodynamics Core, which you should call today to make sure your irrigation system is running at peak performance. This is critical to ensure your lawn and foliage remain lush and lovely and that your grass and plants thrive instead of just barely survive. Schedule a monthly system checkup today with Hydrodynamics Core to make sure your irrigation system is working at its best. That's hydrodynamicscore.com, hydrodynamicscore.com.
News Talk STL.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
With Larry Connors USA, you get news, analysis, opinion, and education.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Forget about it.
On Newstalk STL.
You sure make everything sound pretty good there, Mr. Williams.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate it. You know, Ken, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I guess you realized that 30 years ago, right, when we first met. But I just realized recently, please don't make fun of me. Not you. Life, the world in general, okay? I didn't realize that if you are on a post on X, that you can click on it, especially when it says a thread, right?
Right.
And then it gives you a whole bunch of things. So it was like the greatest live guitar things. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I thought I was just going to get comments. Let's see what happened. And then all these different guitar concerts came up one after the next. I just realized that.
Oh,
you know what? Whatever. Okay, don't give me that.
No, I think it's great. I joined Chat GPT. I have an account there now, and I think it's amazing.
So anyway, one of the ones they picked it wasn't number one, and it wasn't at the bottom of the list. Somewhere in the middle was Dire Straits with Eric Clapton doing "Money for Nothing" at Live Aid.
Nice,
which was really cool.
Yeah,
really, really cool. All right, Ken. I think it's time for an update. So in case you're just joining us here, you're a new listener to the show, we do have an evil plan, and you have to do this with your hands, Ken. We have an evil plan. If you're on the stream. Oh, you need that. If my daughters were here, they'd help say moo ha ha. Our evil plan was, well, the ultimate evil plan is to get President Trump to call us, you know? And you know what, Ken, this is crazy. I was sitting around doing nothing. I hate when there's nothing on TV. And I just had an image of President Trump walking into the lobby.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah.
You know how his hands are always straight down?
Right.
He'd look in the window.
Yeah, he'd have to bend over to look in the window.
He would, right?
I think, yeah.
What are you guys doing in there? You guys talking about? Anyway, that's not going to happen. But we could get a call from him. You never know. Now, why would President Trump call two morons here in St. Louis who do a radio show every day on NewstalkSTL? Well, we happen to have, as the official bakery of the Vic Porcelli Show, the Trolley Stop Bakery, which, and I'm going to say this again, I said at the beginning of the show, their chocolate chip cookies are so good. Ken had one because they come in a box, and then each cookie has its own little envelope, plastic envelope kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Ken kept the envelope taped to the inside of his notebook, just so you could smell the chocolate chips, I guess.
Yeah, well, I had it in there because I was really impressed with the fact that the Vic Porcelli Show had an official bakery.
How about that?
Yeah.
So Diane Wood, who owns the Trolley Stop Bakery, is just so great, and we appreciate her so much. She said, well, I'll do it. I'll send the president some cookies, you know, and he may eat them and say, these are the best cookies ever. Who made these? We're going to go on the show that this is the official bakery of.
But in true Trolley Stop Bakery fashion, Diane sent not just a few cookies. She sent 2.5 dozen in one box and then 1 dozen in another box. And the reason being, so Nate and Eric Burleson, our representative, and
Bob Onder
next door could keep themselves occupied with the 2.5 dozen, while President Trump would get the dozen.
It was kind of like the decoy that President Trump did on Saturday.
Kind of, yeah.
When we sent the B2s one way as a decoy.
On a different level, but yeah.
So we send the decoy cookies, which are real cookies, but it'll distract at least. So President Trump only gets our cookies, and he better get the full dozen. I swear to God, I will drive to D.C. and I will take the 3 of them, Bob Onder and Burleson and Nate, and I'll give them the 3 Stooges slap across. You know? So what if it works? What if our evil plan works?
That's right. Hey, you know what? We're going to keep trying. And Nate's a really, he's a go-getter, man. He's taking those cookies, and I'm sure he's just finding ways to get them to President Trump.
As of Friday, there was controversy in D.C.
Oh, yeah.
When the cookies didn't get to Nate, but Diane Wood had the tracking that it said it was delivered at 10:04 the day before.
Yeah, on Tuesday.
So what the hell was going on. So we immediately assumed that Nate Lucas ate all 3.5 dozen.
Right.
Which wasn't the case. He hadn't seen them yet. Because
that's what he said. He didn't see him. He sounded sincere, but you never know.
He this is just what I pieced together from talking to Nate. He must live in an apartment where the mail comes to a certain place and then they notify you when the mail comes.
Yeah.
Because he said something like that. Well, they usually notify me. And I thought he meant the people at the Capitol building would notify him, because I thought the cookies were going to the Capitol. I didn't realize they were going straight to Nate. This is why it's a big controversy.
Well, yeah. Well, the reason why we did this, we had a session of planning, and we decided, well, to send, like they did for the Iran drop.
Yeah.
Okay. So we did, and we decided it would be better to send them to Nate so he could bring them in instead of trying to send them directly to the White House, because you know how that could be.
Right.
They'd probably say, "Oh, okay, great."
Oh, excuse me.
And they would check the box and make sure it was good and there was no problem with it. And by that time they're all gone.
So that brings up a good point, that maybe we should use some of the decoy chocolate chip cookies for the Secret Service, so they know there's nothing weird going on. Because, Ken,
that's a good idea.
Isn't it like an unwritten rule in radio, when listeners bring stuff to eat at the station, you don't eat it?
Kind of yeah, for the most part.
You don't know if they want to poison you. They'll be sitting there. Vic Porcelli was poisoned today by some poison apple at some witch brought.
Yeah. I mean, you generally, if it's prepackaged, it's different. If it's made by a bakery, it's usually different.
Right. And plus a Patriot bakery, plus
Yeah.
the official bakery of the Vic Porcelli Show. I mean, that should be the thing right there. When President Trump says, "Oh, it's official bakery of the Vic Porcelli Show. They're good. Let's go talk to Vic."
Right.
That's what we're hoping happens.
Yeah.
And it's like Hansel and Gretel, leave them to one cookie, one piece of candy, piece of candy, and maybe we'll get them on the show. I don't know.
So the bottom line is, what's the result so far, Vic? Because I don't think we announced what actually happened to the cookies.
You're right, Ken. Nate got the cookies.
Yes.
They're in his possession. I will bet you he's ate at least a half a dozen so far.
Okay, that's all right, because there's still two
Right.
dozen
He's
left.
got a long way to go to eat them all before. So he has 2.5 dozen himself.
Right.
And then another dozen for the president.
Yes. The
Okay.
president's box should not be open.
Right. So don't open the president's box, Nate. And Thursday we'll get an update on how far it got.
Yeah, I'm hoping to have Diane on it with us again.
On Thursday?
Yes.
Great. All right, Ken, before we wrap up this break, we missed something on Friday. I blame myself. Uh-oh. Yep. Friday was the 50th anniversary of the release of the movie Jaws. Did you see Jaws?
Oh, are you kidding me?
In the theater?
In the theater, yeah.
Where were you when you saw it?
About
Ronnie's?
about halfway down the chair. Oh, you mean it? Which? Yeah,
Somewhere in
Ronnie's.
St.
It was
Louis. Okay.
Ronnie's. Ronnie. It
So-
was 6 and A, I think, at the time.
I was in New Jersey, living in New Jersey at the time, on vacation at the Jersey Shore.
Okay.
With the ocean right there.
Right.
Right. And the girl I was going out with at the time, she said, Jaws is playing. I said, okay, let's go see the Jaws thing. So we go. And Ken, that was at the beginning of the week. For the rest of the week, I did not go near the ocean. I did not go even. I didn't even put my feet near the water when it comes up on the shore, because I thought for sure the shark would come out and bite me and eat me. So thanks a lot, Steven Spielberg. But anyway, 50 years. For a movie where, cool thing about Jaws, you don't see the villain until like more than half an hour into the film.
Yeah.
All you do is hear the music and people getting pulled under and heads popping out of a boat.
Right.
When that head pops out of that hole in that boat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. All right, that's good. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Oh, you know what, Ken?
What, Vic?
This mission of bombing the Iran nuclear site was called the Midnight Hammer.
Yeah.
And I can't help to think about the Midnight Rambler.
He was a rambler.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
I mean, they used the Rolling Stones song for Crossfire Hurricane.
Exactly right.
Why not call this mission Midnight Rambler?
Exactly.
That would have been awesome. All right, so the Stones will take us to break. Tyler Gray, the badass of all badasses. He's next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home. Got to go.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Some of these protesters hold up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Democrats will never win a national election again if they continue to protect criminals more than they do innocent Americans.
1019 and 94.1.
I worry for people of color.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the great Window World. You know, just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fence Works. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fence Works, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fence Works, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit STLFenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colonies.
Sweet. I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, oh, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Hey, it's Monday, and that means great pizza at a great price. All three Steph's Pizza locations make Monday great again with a 16-inch large pizza for just the price of the small. You heard right, a large Steph's Pizza, however you would like it, for the price of a small. All three St. Charles County locations of Steph's Pizza are making Mondays great again, and they have a different special every night of the week. Check it out at stephspizza.com.
Fox News commentary.
The LA Dodgers are committing $1 million to illegal immigrant families impacted by ICE. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Sponsored by AxeCap Ventures. America, listen up. Gold prices are breaking records. With inflation raging and central banks hoarding, every American should own gold. And like President Trump said, whoever holds the gold makes the rules. AxeCap Ventures owns one of Nevada's largest undeveloped gold deposits and trades for pennies on the dollar. This could be your way to ride the gold boom. AxeCap trades under GARLF on the OTC. Visit axecapventures.ca today.
Baseball fan, but not a Dodgers fan, and here's another reason why not. According to DHS, after agents briefly used the Dodgers parking lot to regroup after an operation, the Dodgers spun a narrative that ICE was attempting to conduct a raid at the stadium. Lies and half-truths like that are what caused panic and hysteria. But to make matters worse, in a virtue-signaling woke stunt, the Dodgers pledged $1 million to assist immigrant families impacted by ICE raids in LA. First of all, there's a big difference between immigrant families and illegal immigrant families. Second, for the Dodgers to undermine federal law enforcement like this for a pathetic PR stunt is treasonous and disturbing. The Dodgers are the most woke team in baseball, and this latest move is yet another reason to root against them. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
This hour, The Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com.
Whoosh.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
I'm Newt Gingrich, and you're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show on News Talk STL.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, very much. How you doing? 1019-94.1 News Talk STL. Before we talk to the badass of all badasses, Tyler Gray, Friday, Ken, I said, President Trump should get a Nobel Peace Prize. Didn't I say that?
Yeah.
And Pakistan nominated him.
Huh.
So people are listening and stealing our stuff.
And Pakistan likes what he did.
Including the entire country of Pakistan. So good morning, Pakistan.
Hi, Pakistan.
All right. Cut it out. Tyler Gray, stop screwing around. We got to get an interview here. Stop it. How you doing, man? Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tyler's book is called Forged in Chaos, A Warrior's Origin Story. I want to hear about that in a little bit. But first, we can't have you on, man, as a member of Delta Force and not get your opinion on what happened on Saturday, how it went, how successful it was, and so forth. So answer those two, and then we'll get into it a little more.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a resounding success based pretty much by every conceivable metric. The targeting of it was so precise. But the one thing that most people don't realize about what makes America's military so lethal, I guess, for lack of a better word, is our level of comprehensive coordination between various assets is unparalleled. And that comes from just decades and decades of, putting these procedures in place and these complex coordinations being worked out and different levels of leadership that are, talking with each other. It's an unprecedented level of coordination. And I think it's pretty impressive how the event happened.
And I think, I don't have any military experience, but also the level of deception by President Trump, right? He says, 2 weeks, we'll give him 2 weeks. Next day, he was on it right there, first of all. Second of all, he sent some decoy B-2s one way, and then the real ones the other way. That was a great little head fake, great little shake and bake, right?
Absolutely. It was a very, not just a comprehensive, coordination and strategy among the military, but as you said, also a comprehensive and complete strategy among the U.S. government, as well as obviously to some degree the Israeli government. So I would say it was a relative, in my opinion, unprecedented level of complex coordination. And when you are able to get people together, plan it out, make deliberate steps, and then, put it into action, you get what we had, which is just an absolutely what I think will be a relatively historic mission that went down.
But he's stupid. The Democrats, he's stupid. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I thought it was pretty darn strategic. We're talking to Tyler Gray, member of Delta Force, who has a new book called Forged in Chaos, A Warrior's Origin Story. So I heard that, first of all, it's a 37-hour flight round trip, right? And they wanted to keep it so quiet there was not even radio communication between the fighters and the people on the ground. So they just fly in silence, or can they put headphones on and listen to music? I mean, what happens there?
Yeah, I mean, it's again, that was obviously hyper aware of what the enemy satellites are doing, up in the atmosphere, and so restricting that coordination kept the comms at a minimum, which reduced the various countries' ability to intercept the communications and have a warning of the mission. So, it was a long flight, and my hats are off to all the pilots that took place in it. But again, what's interesting to me is you look at them operating in radio silence relatively, yet at the same time you had 125, I think is the number of additional aircraft that had supporting roles, and the ability to coordinate all those aircraft with the different layers and levels of strikes and different mission sets. it took an incredible level of coordination, and it's really impressive. I think, in my opinion, I think Space Force was a major coordinating force in this, along with obviously the U.S. Air Force, as well as the highest levels of government, or I should say the highest level of government, because obviously, the lower levels weren't let in for good reason. So, yeah, it was a very impressive mission by those pilots and everyone that took part in it.
And Space Force, another thing the left made fun of Trump for, right? But obviously you think it was a great move and not so stupid, right?
I mean, again, at the time it was mocked, but I think people need to understand, and I don't care who the president is, but all presidents know things we don't. That's just a fact. I knew things that the public didn't know. I still know things that the public didn't know. And the presidents are obviously way more read in than the American public. So when someone like Trump creates an entire new branch of the military, it's for good reason. And quite frankly, I don't even think most people understand the reason Space Force was created, but I will say there was a very good reason for it.
And these B-2 stealths, if you see them, it's too late, right? You don't even get to see them when they kill you. They come and they go before you even see them coming.
Absolutely. I mean, they've been a global strategic bomber. I mean, this shows the ability for them to take off, fly around the world, and then drop what I'm calling, a Star Wars level of precision, like when they dropped it on the ventilation shafts on the Death Star. To me, it was the same mission, if you really think about it. I was a huge Star Wars fanatic as a kid, but it's to me, it's the same thing. That they not only dropped one on the shaft, but then they dropped them additionally to go further down and really reach the depths of that facility. It was a very, very precise strike, and the B-2s have shown that they are able to hit that level of precision anywhere in the world without being seen.
I'm amazed by the precision of everything. Here we are in the 21st century, like you're saying. The MOP bomb went into the ground and blew up, and then another one went in the same hole, right? Meanwhile, 400 miles away, a nuclear sub is throwing tomahawks at Iran from 400 miles away. I mean, the precision of our military is just unbelievable.
It is, and you look at 19, I think it was 43 or 44, but the best we could do was firebomb Dresden.
Yeah,
that was I won't say precision, but there was no ability to be precise in World War II, and you couldn't even really bomb at night. They didn't know what they were dropping on. So if you look at how technology and specifically with the U.S. military has evolved relatively quickly, and quite honestly, I don't think people are prepared for where it's going to go in a very short amount of time.
So let's talk about you and your service again. Tyler's book is called Forged in Chaos, A Warrior's Origin Story. To be where you were at the Delta Force, that's an elite crew. I mean, what did you have to go through just to get there, first of all, and then we'll talk about what you did after you got there.
It's a very complex, difficult process, and it took years. But the thing that I learned about that organization, as well as many, or really all military special operations, is at a certain level, it just has to be something that you're designed for. You can't. I could train every single day from birth to be a swimmer. I'm never going to compete in the Olympics, right? I'm not Michael Phelps. And so you really have to have some underlying ability that's just where you were designed to be, for lack of a better term. And really, that's what the book is about. Forged in Chaos isn't about being forged in combat. It was really being forged from the time I was a child. And by the time I got old enough, I just knew that that's where I belonged.
And then once you got there, I'm sure you carried out plenty of missions. I mean, what went through a young kid's head to be doing all that?
It was just, it was something as a child, I grew up in a very chaotic environment. And so for me, I knew as a very young kid that chaos for me was comfort. The more chaos the environment was, the more I was comfortable in my mind. And so I very much sought out, and this is common for military, it's common for first responders, this mentality. And so I sought out a place where I thought that I could have value, and where my ability to be calm in chaos would be able to help others, and that I, again, could find value there. And the reason I wrote the book is because what I realized over time is when you're no longer doing that job, the problem is you're not designed to be calm in calm, if that makes sense. So when you get back and that job is no longer your identity and your purpose, it becomes very difficult to kind of retrain yourself to go against the fundamental way you were initially built.
Man, I'm telling you what. I mean, I'll tell you right now, Tyler, I've never served, which is why we honor veterans here on this show. You know, people say all the time, oh, you know, Pride Month, why don't veterans get a whole month? Well, we gave them a whole month, and we honor a different veteran, living or dead, every morning at 11:05. So just so you know, we care about.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, you're my guest.
No, I was just saying, look, for me, it was an honor. I was lucky to serve in the capacity I did. I was very lucky to be a part of a unit that was, you know, as I've described the unit, we were the terrorist.
That's great.
And I was very happy to be able to do that job and bring the fight to them rather than, you know, them bringing the fight to the people that they did. So it was a very rewarding job, and, you know, there's not a day goes by that I don't miss it to some degree. But I feel very lucky to have done what I did.
You teamed up with Lauren Ungeldy. She's a pretty big heavy hitter in the world of publishing, right? So that's good.
Yes, she's a great, I mean, very, 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 very smart woman and an amazing writer. And the two of us just got along great. I think the book is really going to help a lot of people understand, you know, why that, and again, it's not just for veterans or first responders. Anyone that has that basis of a chaotic childhood or a traumatic childhood, etc., really, it basically molds them in a certain way. And I describe the mold and the reactions to it very specifically in the book, and I'm providing what worked for me when I realized what the problems actually were. I give solutions in the book, and hopefully those solutions can be the light to guide others that are currently in the dark like I was for so long.
The book, again, is called Forged in Chaos, A Warrior's Origin Story by Tyler Gray. Available on Amazon, I'm sure, right? Oh, in July.
Yes, Amazon. Yeah, Amazon pre-order right now, and it comes out 3 weeks from tomorrow.
So we ask everybody, Tyler, I mean, isn't there a place we can buy the book where you make more money than Amazon does?
No, not. I'm selling autograph copies on my website, which is Tyler A. Gray with an E.com. But yeah, no, the way the system is designed, it's pretty much done through the retailers. But yeah, you know, buying it on Amazon, it's pretty much the same for me, or close to it. So anywhere you can get a book, the audio book will be out in probably a month and a half, and any retailer will currently have it in 3 weeks.
All right, Tyler, thank you so much. Thank you for serving, and let's talk again if you have a chance, okay?
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you, sir.
All right. Whew. Don't mess with them.
Another RX Watch, brought to you by Onder Law.
There's an evil new twist in the tragic story of baby powder and its link to ovarian cancer. Recently uncovered documents reveal that talc can contain asbestos.
The same asbestos that we know causes mesothelioma.
Right, and ovarian cancer.
In the 1970s, the industry wrote its own rules, allowing Johnson & Johnson to claim that its talc was asbestos-free, as long as it contained less than 1% asbestos.
Of course, Johnson & Johnson helped write those rules. So while we're using hazmat suits to remove the asbestos from our homes, Johnson & Johnson was telling women it's safe for their bodies.
Unbelievable. So if you've used talcum powder for feminine hygiene and contracted ovarian cancer, call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
They've already won several large verdicts against Johnson & Johnson for women just like you.
Call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH. That's 1-800-RX-WATCH, or go to rxwatch.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be
Shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Reed's Rockets in Wright City has your fireworks. Try the Max 800 shot for a 30-minute show. Want the ultimate American celebration? Get This Is America with over 100 gigantic color bursts. Family owned and operated, Reed's caters for families with the biggest kid selection. Spend $100 or more and get a kids assortment free. Reed's Rockets, 425 West Service Road North in Wright City. Take I-70 exit 199 and look for the big red and white striped tent. Open through July 10th. ReedsRockets.com.
Reed's Rockets in Wright City has your fireworks. Try the Max 800 shot for a 30-minute show. Want the ultimate American celebration? Get This Is America with over 100 gigantic color bursts. Family owned and operated, Reed's caters for families with the biggest kid selection. Spend $100 or more and get a kids assortment free. Reed's Rockets, 425 West Service Road North in Wright City. Take I-70 exit 199 and look for the big red and white striped tent. Open through July 10th. ReedsRockets.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. The White House is insisting that toppling the Iranian government was not the objective of this weekend's military airstrikes against 3 nuclear facilities. However, President Trump raised the possibility in a social media post last night. Today, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt explained that the president was simply raising a question that many people are asking.
If the Iranian regime refuses to give up their nuclear program or engage in talks, we just took out their nuclear program on Saturday night, as you all know. But if they refuse to engage in diplomacy moving forward, why shouldn't the Iranian people rise up against this brutal terrorist regime?
With oil prices surging after the U.S. military action, the president is calling on oil producers to pump more oil. He wrote online, "Everyone keep oil prices down and drill, baby, drill." President Trump already had Republicans scrambling to get their big, beautiful bill to his desk by next week. Now Congress is grappling with the aftermath of airstrikes on Iran.
The issue could come to a head with a vote as soon as this week. Democrat Senator Tim Kaine's resolution requiring congressional approval for military action in Iran expires Friday, but is expected to be on the floor sooner, with the mega bill set to fill the back half of the week. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is pushing to move up the vote. He's urging his party's support of the measure, but Democrats expect to lose the vote of Senator John Fetterman. On the GOP side, all eyes are on Senators Rand Paul and Lisa Murkowski, who said Sunday on X that Congress alone has the power to authorize war. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
Police say a man who opened fire outside a Michigan church yesterday had attended services there a couple of times and that his mother is a member. It's 31-year-old Brian Browning. He had no prior criminal history. He was struck by a vehicle and then fatally shot by security staff at Crosspoint Community Church. More at townhall.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I've been thinking, why does it feel like losing weight is harder than ever before? With mixed messages, fad diets, the quick fix injections, even magic coffee. I mean, it's overwhelming. Most people are exhausted trying to fight a battle they cannot win. If you feel this way, trust me, you're not alone. I used to feel that way too. But let me tell you, it's not your fault. Your body is working against you, and the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Do what I did. I called PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition 3 years ago. I lost 53 pounds. I feel terrific, and I've kept the weight off. Make the phone call that can change your life the way it has changed mine. They won't let you fail. Call 855-696-2020. That's 855-696-2020 to schedule your consultation. The first 11 callers who mention the word healthy will get 2 free weeks added to their weight loss package. Call now, 855-696-2020. Mention the keyword healthy to get 2 free weeks. Or visit them at myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Summer in St. Louis means one thing: Cardinals baseball.
It's more than a game. It's an STL tradition. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the boom of the fireworks. It's the soundtrack to summer for Cardinals Nation. So grab your cap and glove and take your spot in the stands, because in St. Louis, baseball is more than a melody. It's our favorite song.
This is former Cardinal and Navy Lieutenant Mitch Terris. Salute those who serve. Join the Cardinals on Friday, July 11th for Military Appreciation Night, presented by Bowie. With a special themed ticket, fans will take home an exclusive Cardinals 40-ounce tumbler, honoring all 6 military branches. Arrive early for a powerful pregame concert by the U.S. Air Force Band on the Budweiser stage. And best of all, a portion of each ticket benefits USO Missouri. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/think. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
This is Katie McKinney, founder and head of school for Lafayette Academy in Lake St. Louis. Recently, we had a new second grader come to Lafayette Academy who claimed he was stupid and hated reading. Within months of using our world-class literacy program, he was reading Harry Potter and loving it. He had just not been given the right tools. We invite you to our open house Wednesday, June 25th from 5 till 7 and hear from our current families and learn more about our dedicated teachers and world-class curriculum. To learn more, go to LafayetteAcademy.org. That's LafayetteAcademy.org.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
This hour, The Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by the Trolley Stop Bakery, the official bakery of The Vic Porcelli Show. You're listening to The Vic Porcelli Show.
A 3-hour tour, a 3-hour tour. The weather started getting rough.
We squeeze in a dry hump day under partly sunny skies.
From New Jersey to Baldwin, Missouri, 2 behind the microphone, taking the whoosh to the radical left and the putrid swamp. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show. Here he is, Vic Porcelli.
Thank you very much. Cutesy time is over. Welcome to it. 3rd hour of our 3-hour tour. And we have Vic for Vets coming up in just a sec. But for the rest of the hour here, leading us up to noon. Boy, we're until noon every day. Ken, did you know that?
I know.
That's what I heard.
I like it.
Appreciate it very much.
Love
you guys
it.
helped us with that. Doug Blair will join us at 11:25, and looks like a very busy chat box this morning, so we'll get into that. So before we do what we're going to do here, I want to say, if you have a veteran, a dad, a brother, a mom, a sister, anybody who served in the United States military, doesn't have to be some, war hero or anything like that.
No.
Anybody who served.
Yeah, I at some point would like to feature my brother Jim Williams as a Marine. He's a retired Marine,
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Jim Williams?
Yeah,
Kenneth James Williams?
Right.
What's going on here?
He's my father's namesake.
Like we wouldn't notice. What's his middle name?
Leo.
James Leo Williams.
Yes.
Kenneth James Williams.
Oh,
Boy,
yeah.
Your mother must have went crazy.
Robert Daniel Williams.
Oh, my God. So anyway, send it to
Ken at NewstalkSTL.com. And then I'll just send your the name, rank, branch of service, and then anything that you can add to it so Vic can read it over for everyone else to honor them. And it doesn't have to be anything long. It doesn't have to be intense or anything like that.
Anything that dramatic?
No, just send just what you have.
If you've served, you're a hero in our eyes.
Absolutely.
So send us those names, Ken at NewstalkSTL.com. And okay, now it's time for Vic for Vets. Today's veteran was submitted by Peter Andre Brown. Andre calls us all the time.
And let's thank him for his service, too.
Yeah, Andre, really. Good morning. There are 2 vets I'd like to recognize via your Vic for Vets. First is Vipot Lapidawang, Lance Corporal, United States Marine Corps, November 4th, 1995 to June 1st, 2015. Wow. Ken, that's a long time.
I know.
I met Vpot in boot camp in 2014. He quickly became my best friend and brother in the Marine Corps. Unfortunately, he was killed in a car crash. Jesus. In 2015, a few days before we were to meet up for some fishing in the Gulf down in Texas. I miss him very much. Rest in peace, my friend. So I'm sorry. You serve in the military from 1995 to 2015. Survive all that, and then a car crash is what takes you.
Yep.
There's just something not fair about that. So that's the first veteran Andre would like to honor. The second is Corporal Jeffrey Lucy, United States Marine Corps. A man I never met, yet is a touchstone when things get rough for me. A brother Marine, Jeffrey was an Iraq War veteran. He served 5 months in the country with the 6th Motor Transport Battalion. Unfortunately, as is far too common, on June 22nd, 2004, Corporal Lucy took his own life at the age of 23. Tom Waits wrote and sang a song based on his letters and final note to his family. It is both a tribute and a haunting reminder of what our brave men and women go through to keep our country free. Jeffrey Lucy, Corporal, United States Marine Corps. Rest easy, brother. Thank you, Andre. Thanks to our supporters, DG Firearms, Patriot Heating and Cooling, and Best Buy Flooring. My God, Ken.
Yeah, the PTSD that they were talking about at one point, that every 20 seconds there was a veteran taking their life. And it's so sad.
Is there some kind of phone number we can find for people that served and are thinking about that, doing that?
Yeah, there are, absolutely. And you need to take advantage of that if you're thinking about any of this stuff. And if you know someone that maybe they're hiding emotions like that, talk to them. All you can do is talk to them.
By the way, Ken and I are always here to talk to, too. Okay?
Yeah.
I will listen. Sorry, guys. All right, Ken, you know what gets me out of this? Making fun of liberals.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Yep.
Time for Looney Tunes. And our first one is, she used to be on MSNBC on the weekends. Her name was Tiffany Cross. She always had something bad to say about, and not just President Trump, but any Republican, any a conservative, and
she was fired on MSNBC, I think, because of her behavior.
Which, yeah.
Now she's a commentator on CNN. This is from CNN.
Oh, this is from CNN, but this. So this is from CNN. She just was a fired MSNBC host.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but I just want to remind the viewers, his wife herself, a former nude model, got the Einstein visa to come over here, completely usurped the immigration system. What was her unique talent, I wonder, that she was able to get that? Further,
what a disgusting
She's talking about Melania?
Yeah. What a disgusting individual.
She is. Go ahead.
Furthermore, he's increasing these deportations because he's trying to be competitive with his predecessor, who I'm ashamed to say, Obama, who they called deporter in chief because he deported so many people. 430 something thousand, I believe, was the height of the year 2013. And can I just say really quickly though, Stephen Miller, this entire immigration policy is the brainchild of Stephen Miller, a white nationalist, according to all the reporting, very documented reporting. He's a white nationalist, exactly.
All reports.
Everybody. Stephen Miller's a white supremacist.
White supremacist. Yes.
That's why Tiffany Cross got fired at MSNBC. I doubt you'll be seeing or hearing her much on CNN anymore after that performance from last week.
Oh, she's disgusting. And you notice how she tries to talk really, really fast over everybody, really loud, so that no one can get in there. And she was successful actually with CNN, but I don't think I think if Scott Jennings given a couple more minutes of that, he probably would have just jumped in and said, be quiet for a minute.
Boy, there's no doubt. All right, Ken, let's hear number 13. for our second installment of Looney Tunes. How do you say this person's name?
I would say
Cheedy.
I would say
I'm going to say it just
Cochiti.
Cochiti.
Cochiti Hinojosa.
What?
I think so.
There's X's and J's all over the
that's
place.
Why I say Cochiti.
Exochiti Hinojosa.
Okay.
That's how I'm saying
Well,
it.
that's pretty good.
Former DNC spokesperson.
I think that there are a lot of questions that are being raised by Congress right now. And the reason that they're being raised is because normally you would need congressional approval for something like this. And I know that my friend here is laughing a little bit, but I will say,
I mean,
but I will
covered Congress for a long time, but they gave a lot of that away.
But I will say, I mean, in order for the president to take action without congressional approval, he needed to show that there was a real true threat to the United States and that the strike would not cause escalation. The problem with this is that normally you would have a group of lawyers from all across the agencies that actually would make these determinations. Trump did away with that at the beginning of this administration. So it's unclear what type of legal advice Trump was getting.
Okay, so here's what she's saying. The president of the United States, before he does anything, he gets a bunch of lawyers in the room and they all decide whether or not he should do what he's going to do. That's bull.
Yep.
That's a complete lie. She's just saying that, Vic, because, well, we played it earlier. All the different actions that Barack Obama did, no one said a word.
Right. All right, one more Looney Tune. It's our good old friend from the mean streets of the ghetto of Ladue, Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah, y'all was talking about accountability. The systems have broken down. The systems have broken down because people have legitimately decided that they would rather serve him than serve the people that put them into office. Like, I don't really have any, good answers for you, except for the fact that legitimately everything that he does is, against the law. Like, he just breaks the law. And I know that there are some people that think that I just say this stuff because I'm a Democrat. And I can tell you, I have my own issues with my own party. I'm not saying these things because I'm a Democrat. I'm saying these things because I am a Black woman in America who just happens to be educated enough to know what the law is. And I can tell you that while some people want to disparage my credibility and act as if I don't know what I'm talking about, I can absolutely guarantee to you that if you Google war and authority and constitution, you're going to see Congress. And this thing that's on my chest tells you that I am a member of Congress.
I Googled it. Googled war. Didn't see the word Congress anywhere. She's saying you'll see it right away.
Yeah.
War, Congress. She's wrong.
And you know how we know that she's a part of the Congress? Because of that emblem that she has on her chest.
Which says what?
That she's a member of Congress.
Oh.
Otherwise, I would have no idea.
Can we hear that again?
Yeah.
A little bit at a time?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, y'all was talking about accountability. The systems have broken down.
Stop. Talking about accountabilities, the systems have broken down. What systems is she talking about?
Well, the various systems that we have in place in government, there are many systems. I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Okay, go ahead.
The systems have broken down because people have legitimately decided that they would rather serve him than serve the people that put them into office.
Stop. Serve President Trump? Is that what she's talking about?
I think so.
Go ahead.
I don't really have any good answers for you,
Stop.
except for the.
Why did you open your mouth?
Well, here's the thing about this. This is actually just a little piece of her 21-minute rant. She got on TikTok while she's driving to a location. But by the way, she's not driving. She's riding.
Of course.
Her driver.
Right.
Her driver is driving. But 21 minutes of her saying, listen, what I want you to do is send me questions. And then her assistant would read the question to her, and then she would answer it. I'm not exaggerating. You got to see this if you can find it on social media. She doesn't answer any of them.
Jeez.
She said, I don't really know about that exactly, but here's my feeling. And that's it. She delivers no facts whatsoever.
Go ahead.
The fact that legitimately everything that he does is against the law.
Stop. Everything he does is against the law.
Everything, Vic. She doesn't say there were a few things that are questionable. She said everything Donald Trump does in the presidential position is illegal.
How does she survive from day to day in the Congress with that kind of completely out of proportion rhetoric?
Well, this shows you how dysfunctional our government really is.
Systems are broken down.
Well, the systems, yeah. And I guess she's referring to the branches of government, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, the legislative branch.
The systems that we have. So, but I'm serious about this. This shows you how dysfunctional our government really is. When you have people like that disgusting person, Ilhan Omar, AOC, any of them, Jayapal, Pramila, whenever you have these people in office and they actually represent Americans, there's something wrong with our government.
Now, Pramila Jayapal, she's got like a little, doesn't she have a crush on President Trump? Do you think that she likes him? Because I'm not sure she hates him as much as the rest of the squad does.
Not sure if I can find.
They all freaked out. By the way.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Wait, she does? She does have a crush on Donald Trump?
I think she does.
Let's talk about the fact that President Trump incited an erection.
You knew it. I knew it. Deep down, she's got a crush on him. But the squad went bananas when all this happened, right? Ilhan Omar roots for other countries over the country that she's supposed to be serving.
She's the representative, Vic, that actually said in Somali, whatever that language is, to thousands of Somalians, someday I hope to raise my children in my home country of Somalia.
And go.
Why doesn't she leave right now?
Go.
Just go.
Rashida Tlaib. I mean, she is just the worst, man. She's a Palestinian American. She calls herself a Palestinian American. So we know where she stood on all that, right?
She's the one who added in the entrance in the building, the Capitol building, in her office at the front of her door, she had the Palestinian flag flying.
You're right, Ken. And it's supposed to be the American flag.
cried when people were being arrested. Cried.
All right, let's finish this up, okay?
Like, he just breaks the law. And I know that there are some people that think that I just say this stuff because I'm a Democrat. And I can tell you, I have my own issues with my own party. I'm not saying these things because I'm a Democrat. I'm saying these things because I am a Black woman in America who just happens to be educated enough to know what the law is. And I can...
Oh, it's kind of racist, right?
Yeah.
I'm a Black woman that knows enough, not like the rest of you Black people.
Right.
Didn't she kind of say that?
Kind of. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can tell you that while some people want to disparage my credibility and act as if I don't know what I'm talking about, I can absolutely guarantee to you that if you Google...
She absolutely is going to guarantee. Okay, she guarantee absolutely if you Google war.
I'm a Black woman that's educated, not like you little peasant Black people.
I'm glad you picked that up because I mean, imagine me saying, well, I mean, I'm an educated white person, you know.
What about if you're an educated Black person listening to her?
I know.
God. That's all the time we have for Looney Tunes because they're loony. Looney Tunes are loony. And we should do this more often, I think, Ken. It doesn't have to be a set time or set day or anything, but I think we should come up and make fun of them and do more Looney Tunes to show people.
Totally agree.
All right. When we get back, we are going to talk to Douglas Blair, Public Interest Legal Foundation. So I'm going to say.
Okay.
Public Interest Legal Foundation. So I'm saying. It's PILF is what it is.
You had to say it.
Well, I mean, PILF Foundation.
Right.
I'm saying what they wrote.
He's a PILF.
You want to call it something else? You want to call it something else? Call it something else. Douglas Blair is next on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home, everybody.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. The Vic Porcelli Show.
We demand a lower work week, 32-hour work week.
Very well, we'll give them shorter hours. We'll start by cutting their lunch hour to 20 minutes.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmoscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmoscholars.org. That's herzogmoscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for Patriot Heating and Cooling. When your home's comfort is on the line, you need a team you can trust. That's why I recommend Patriot Heating and Cooling, St. Louis's trusted team of HVAC experts. These pros make customer service their number one priority, whether it's a summer breakdown or a winter emergency. Booking your service couldn't be easier. Just visit callpatriothvacstl.com or call 314-527-2722. Patriot Heating and Cooling. Comfort every day, the Patriot way.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Capistrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
News, analysis, opinion.
Don't always agree, but in love listening to your radio station. This is tyrannical stuff they're doing.
Elections have consequences. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
Hi, this is Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow with a reminder to check out our new show, Jeffco Patriot Radio, this and every Sunday at high noon. Now, back to the Vic Porcelli Show.
Thanks, Billy. Billy, big boy. He was in here last week.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and you know what he was doing? He was in here last week bragging on that David Stokes comes in the studio for him, but not us. It's okay. I'm like, you know what's going to happen? I guarantee it. I'm not going to be here Friday. That's when David Stokes is going to come in.
You think?
Absolutely. Okay, let's go.
This just in. For the latest news from the DC swamp and beyond, this is the Vic Porcelli Show East Coast Report with Douglas Blair on News Talk STL.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Douglas Blair. How are you, pal?
Oh, I'm doing so good, Vic. You know it's a Monday, so I'm on my favorite show.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Now, what's going on? What's the skinny? What's the buzz about Saturday's actions? I mean, okay, the left doesn't like it. They want to, hang them for it, and the right, not everybody's for it. What are you hearing in the hallways and stuff?
Well, look, I mean, this is one of those that can get very bad very quickly, right? We've already seen what happens when military action in the Middle East becomes, just one more thing, or we're gonna, send a couple of groundkeeping troops to make sure that things are okay, or we have to do regime change. This is a situation that can get out of control, and you're right. This is not something that everybody on the right is completely aligned with. And I have been hearing from people in Washington that everybody's just kind of holding their breath to see how far the president is willing to take this.
And so you have the people like Thomas Massey, right? Representative Massey, not for it. No way. This is bad. I think MTG is not even for it. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not on his side on this. But I think to flatten literally and figuratively, Iran's nuclear ambitions, I think, is the way to keep that part of the world safe, especially for Israel.
Well, look, I mean, there's two lines about this. One is that peace through strength is an effective deterrent. This is what Pete Hegseth said when he was nominated as Secretary of Defense. It's good. It's a good philosophy to basically say if you step out of line around U.S. interests, you will be ground into the dirt. The problem is Americans are still smarting from Afghanistan. I mean, we are still remembering those images of those bodies coming home. And of course, the former president disrespectfully looking at his watch. But sending troops to the Middle East generally doesn't take a few months. It takes a few years, decades even. And I think there's a genuine concern amongst those people like Thomas Massey who say things like, we just got out of the forever wars in the Middle East. We're pulling back. We're starting to focus more on America first. Why are we now potentially involving ourselves in another Middle Eastern conflict? And this isn't just, by the way, in Congress. This is like in the president's ear. Vice President J.D. Vance apparently reportedly was on a call where Israeli military leaders were saying this 2-week thing that you were doing previously, that you said you were going to give them 2 weeks before we bombed, that's too slow. You have to do it now. And Vance reportedly said, we're not getting dragged into another conflict here. You guys need to chill. And so I think that tension of where do you draw the line of American involvement is still very much up in the air.
Why would President Trump put us into another war? Why would he do that?
I mean, it's a great question because I do think that there's a contingent of the base that is very strongly concerned with the fate of Israel. I am very strongly concerned with the fate of Israel as a Christian myself, as somebody that believes that Israel is biblically mentioned. But I also am a pragmatic realist here that Israel's interests don't always align with America's. And at the end of the day, President Trump, I think, seems to believe that Israel's continued, I don't want to say like survival, because I don't think this is a matter of survival. I think Israel has the capacity clearly to deal with the Iranian regime. I mean, they literally had infiltrated it so effectively that even now members of the Iranian high command are like, I don't know who I can trust. It's possible that the guy I'm talking to in the top level meeting is an Israeli plant. So I don't understand necessarily why that is the case, but President Trump does seem to believe that America involving itself in this conflict is in its best interest.
So here's the thing that bugs me, Doug. Okay, because we don't want to see Iran the way they've been. Let's not forget the 52 hostages that they held for 444 days back in 1979. But it's not just us or President Trump or anybody else who wants them to not be this kind of government, but the people who live there. Iranians who the girls used to wear bikinis and miniskirts before 1979. They don't want to live like that. How hard is it for that kind of an uprising, I guess, is my question. I'm not sure what my question is.
Well, but I mean, Vic, look at the past. We've literally seen places like under dictators in Syria and Libya and all of these different places around the Middle East rise up, quote unquote, and overthrow their dictators, and then they fall back into the trap. I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I don't know if it's something that relates to the inability of them to hold on to power, or democracy is just incompatible with the religion or the culture. It doesn't work. And one of the reasons why I, along with a lot of other conservatives, are a little bit more weary of saying, all right, let's get involved in another Middle Eastern campaign, is that at the end of the day, we've seen that even if you pump all the money, even if you give all the resources to the people, if a militia group pushes its way into the capital or pushes its way in, they give up and they basically say, the Taliban, you get the capital. You're in control now. And we spent all of this money for basically nothing.
It just, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me that a president who ran on no new wars would do something that would get us into a war, as opposed to something that I know it looks like you're doing war because you're dropping bombs and, getting rid of their nuclear installations. But he's doing it to prevent war, actually. And that's what people, I don't think, are giving him credit for, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Vic, I think that you have a good point here. And again, I think that the people who are exploding with this, like, oh, we're going to get into a war right now, that's premature. It is absolutely premature to say that we are now engaged in open conflict with the Iranians. As of now, it seems very limited to, we are bombing facilities that should not exist in the first place under the botched Iranian deal, nuclear deal that Obama put into place. But we're basically just returning things to status quo. If he says, we're going to do a regime change, we're going to go in there, we're going to send troops on the ground, we're going to basically put our guys into harm's way, that's an absolute non-starter. However, if it basically is, we are assisting Israel with military operations in the region, we are not going to send troops, we are going to assist, and that is it, and it's going to be very limited strikes, I'm more comfortable with that, and I think the American people are too.
And I agree with that. one thing that Trump keeps saying, and I think it's brilliant, along with J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth, is we are going in there. We went in there just to do the job that we did, to make sure that they do not have the capability of getting a nuclear weapon. Now, if they decide to attack an American, it's going to change the whole story. And I still think, Doug, it's not going to be boots on the ground then. All they're going to do is, like, for example, if they go through the Hormuz, that Gulf of Hormuz, Strait of Hormuz, then, and they attack them, then they're going to retaliate by attacking them, the people that are right there. They're not going to go into Iran and go to Tehran and bomb it.
But this is how wars start, right? Where it's like, oh, we're doing a certain measure, and then an American gets harmed, and then the thing escalates, right? I do think that you brought up a good point about the Strait of Hormuz, because actually one of the things that Iran has done that is an utter tactical blunder is to close that down. That doesn't just piss off the Israelis and Americans, it also pisses off the Saudis. And this is where I think that this has the potential for America to basically say, this is your backyard. This is your region. You guys have to figure it out. The Saudis, the Israelis, the Jordanians, even now a relatively more stable Syria, all of these countries have a vested interest in, one, weakening the influence of Iran in the region, and two, keeping that strait open. And so basically what we can do is say, we will provide you with support. We will support you in this endeavor. We will basically say, like, if there's anything we can do to prevent the Iranians from getting back on their feet, we will do it. But it's up to you to finish the job. And I don't think that anybody can complain about that, right? Obviously, looking at it from the perspective of America first, you say American lives, American treasure, American resources are not being expended on another, Middle Eastern war. And you say, look, we are enriching our allies in the region, the Saudis, the Israelis. We are bringing Jordan and Syria back into the fold. They are now able to basically function as Western allies. It seems like a win-win to me.
We're talking to Douglas Blair from the Public Interest Legal Foundation. I think they tried to close that Strait of Hormuz many years ago, and we obliterated their navy, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's somewhat shocking that after all of this time, they haven't invested in a stronger military. So what has happened right now is the Israelis basically have I guess us by extension, we have entire control of their airspace. We have entire control of the region's waters as well. We can basically just ship in there with our Nimitz and just, do whatever we want. And you would assume that that would be somewhat of a hole you'd want to fill if you were an authoritarian regime that was threatening your closest neighbors in the region. But I guess they haven't done it. So I do think, frankly, it's one of the most shocking things that, they have folded so quickly. And I do think that that is somewhat of a dangerous sign that we say, oh, well, this will be easy, right? If we go in there, they don't have a military, they don't have air control, they don't have naval power. We can just go and steamroll them. But it's not just that initial invasion that takes the effort. It's holding the territory. It's ensuring that your guys are not being killed by insurgents. It's all of these things that go into a military campaign that are not as simple as some people are trying to make it out to be.
And Doug, I agree with your assessment there. I think that, things do escalate normally into a war because of things that are happening right now, moves that are taken like this. But I think they're also calculating all this. Like they're weakened by Israel, and they don't have the ammunition. They even say they can't even launch as many missiles as they used to be able to because Israeli took out most of their launchers. So what I guess what I'm saying is that they are calculating that even if they do something in the Strait of Hormuz, they're not going to create a war because they just don't have the power to do that. Don't you think?
Right. Well, I think there's more to it than that. And I think in a sense that Iran in and of itself can't do anything. Yes, 100%. Totally agree. I think that's correct. However, there are other actors in the region. Obviously, there is China, which is an ally of Iran. There's the Russians, which even though they are still bogged down in Ukraine, they are still a player.
Yeah.
And given the fact that we have already seen endless campaigns where we say this will be simple, they can't do anything, they're just a bunch of, tribesmen with, spears and guns from the Cold War, what can they do? All of a sudden, you're now trapped in the morass of the Middle East. They call it the grave of empires for a reason. It's one of those places where you literally just go in there, you get stuck, you're there forever. And then all of a sudden, it's been 50 years and you're still like, oh my God, like people have literally lived and died as this war has been happening. Like it's just, I caution anybody that thinks this will be simple. And I know that there's a lot of people in Trump's ear that are saying that.
Yeah, I agree with that, though. Yeah.
All right. Douglas Blair from the Public Interest Legal Foundation. Hey, you proud of me? I didn't say PILF at all. You happy?
I was very sad. I didn't get my introduction.
There you go. Doug, thanks, man. We'll talk next week.
All right. See you guys.
See you, Doug.
It's so hard, okay? Keeping the peace sometimes doesn't look like keeping the peace. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, it totally does, Vic. But I keep going back to this one thing. Trump is looking 10, 20 years from now. We don't want our kids and our grandkids dealing with this.
Right.
He's done. Right. We've been doing it for 40 years, and somehow the Iranian government seems to weasel themselves into a situation where they get what they wanted and they still enrich uranium.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yep. You're right. All right. Chat box is next, right? And then that's it.
Yeah.
Our 3-hour tour. Third hour of the 3-hour tour is next. On 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL, number one for live and local conservative talk.
Follow us on Rumble at NewstalkSTL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
But I feel badly also about the fistulations that are taking place in Eastern Congo.
On News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talon at 4:25. At 5:25, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Attention off-road enthusiasts. Iron Bear Customs has the strongest bumpers on the planet. Plus, brush guards, lift kits, and custom cages for all vehicles. Visit ironbearcustoms.com and mention Newstalk STL for 10% off. Iron Bear Customs, built tough for the toughest terrain.
Discover Patriot Powder Coating, your family-owned specialist in Pacific. From small jobs to big projects, we got you covered. Visit our showroom or call 636-551-0377. Mention Newstalk STL for 10% off.
Hey, if you're 50 or older, you do not want to take any risk with your money. In fact, you want Leslie Consulting. My friend Bob Leslie can show you a gain and retain plan. Means that you never lose. Plus, you get up to a 20% bonus on day one. Leslie Consulting, a leader in brokerage and risk management. 314-721-0066. LeslieConsulting.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park. Meantime,
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Vic. Yo, Vic.
On News Talk STL.
So, you know, a lot of times we talk about stuff that we should probably talk about after the show, off the air, but we talk about it on the air. Jesse and I watched Beverly Hills Cop again last night, and the villain's name is Victor Maitland.
Oh, yeah.
And when he's at the buffet there, Eddie Murphy kind of goes, "How you doing, Vic?" Nice place. No, nice place you got here, Vic.
Yeah, we could use that.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about it off the air. Let's do a chat box. Get out of here. Okay, let's start with Facebook today. GMFFV8. Barbara, thanks. Our military are simply the best. Hey, wait a minute. I thought Kenny and I were simply the best. You used to say that about us. All right, military can have it. We're second best, though. Good morning, freedom fighters, from Tom. Amy says, good morning, Vickhead Patriots. God bless our troops and God bless our president. You bet.
Good morning, St. Louis.
You cannot logistically inform Congress before every military action. There would never be a successful mission. The enemy would find out. Plus, it's too many people in the chain of communication there.
Well, what about that one woman that says, oh, yeah, they get a bunch of lawyers together before the president says anything?
Wait, I just thought of something. So we're supposed to tell Ilhan Omar and right?
Yeah.
And
the enemy.
Rashida Tlaib
Yeah.
that we're going to bomb them so that they get on the horn and say, hey, Ayatollah, Doc.
Yeah, right.
Stupid.
I guess that's what they would do, you know?
So who were we talking about? Neville Chamberlain was the answer. I guess wrong on who
He was the turncoat. He was the guy who was a sympathizer to the Nazis in the UK with Karen. We were talking.
It was Karen. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks, David. So I was sure his name. Neville Chamberlain. Randy Hetledge. I think you know him.
My buddy.
Charlie was based on the book Flowers for Algernon. Sorry, you're talking to a guy who doesn't like to read. You know why? Because every page just has the most words.
It has a lot of words.
So many words.
They do.
Page after page. Put a blank page in there. Let me get my head above water for 2 seconds. Sorry, completely stolen from Nate Bargatze. Carla Miller says, hey, Vic, I saw your post about Drake's. Remember when I got my daughter sent me for Father's Day all the Drake's cakes?
Oh, yeah.
Devil dogs and all.
Yeah, I
And
know
the
that
Fetty
'cause
Bones!
I never received any of the Bones ones.
What?
Remember you said
Yes, I do. Can we
okay.
move on?
There you are.
I screwed that one up because I ate the last one last night.
See?
I know. Do you remember Bosco and Mapo? Carla grew up in New York. So Bosco is it's kind of like Hershey's syrup.
I saw how they made them in Food Factory. There's a show that I watch all the time. In
Bosco?
Bosco. Yeah, they
Wow.
showed how they make it.
And Mapo was just like oatmeal. It was oatmeal. Mapo. And George Costanza loves Bosco.
Oh, yeah.
When his fiance is like, you got anything else to complain about? We're out of Bosco. And I think that's it. That was his code for his ATM, too. Okay, here we go now. Scooter. The so-called bipartisan Gang of 8 wasn't notified either. Trump doesn't look at the Constitution as binding on the executive branch under the theory of unitary executive. Now, hold on, Scooter, because the Gang of 8, the Senate Minority Leader, one of the Gang of 8, is Chuck Schumer. And President Trump called Chuck Schumer.
And I believe Chuck Schumer, he did actually talk to him.
So there you go. So, and he said, so-called bipartisan. I think it's right down the middle. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's right down the middle, Democrat, Republican. John Thune, Majority Leader. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, of course. Hakeem Jeffries, who didn't answer his phone.
Oh, Scooter. Hakeem didn't answer the phone.
The other members of the Gang of 8, Mark Warner, and that's from the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. Mark Warner, Democrat, and Vice Chair Marco Rubio. Well, we know.
See, this is what I was talking about earlier. Hakeem Jeffries didn't answer the phone. Gavin Newsom didn't answer the phone when Trump called him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they all said, hey, listen, I got a way around this. I got a way around Trump. Just don't answer the phone.
Right. Then we can say, I didn't talk to me about it.
Right.
Lying through omission.
And then he lied because Donald Trump said, well, we gave Fox News the phone records.
So Scooter said the so-called bipartisan Gang of 8, it's 4 and 4.
Yeah.
It's 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans.
Yeah, I know. It is.
God. You know,
you should know that,
be
Scooter.
honest.
Come on,
Just
Scooter.
be
You should
honest.
know that, buddy.
Leanne Grayson. You know, whatever I think about whenever Leanne Grayson gets in touch with us, that Bounty is indeed the quicker picker-upper.
Yes, I agree with that, too.
Do you remember the day I doubted that?
No.
I did. I said to Ken, I don't think that Bounty is the quicker picker-upper. Leanne got on the chat box and said, yes, it is. I was like an engineer for that company. I know it is.
I remember that, yeah. Because I backed her up because that's all I get ever.
She says, good morning, freedom-fighting dickheads. The technology that was demonstrated on Saturday on the Iran attack is nothing short of amazing, and yet we cannot make a comfortable bike seat. Well,
you know what? Hey, I read these technology magazines a lot.
Yeah.
And they did make a bike seat that's more comfortable. It takes literally moves like this, Vic. Look, it goes back and forth. There's two pieces to it. And it follows your butt cheeks. I'm not kidding you. It's a bike seat that follows your butt.
Leanne, I hope that Jesus.
I hope that helps you.
I hope that helps you. And trust me, now I know Bounty is indeed the quicker picker-upper. Ken says you got a more comfortable bike seat. We are on your side, Leanne.
We are.
Absolutely, every day.
Every bit of it.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
I don't understand this one from Scooter. It's disrespectful to veterans, especially those that paid the ultimate price by bringing politics into their memoriam. Is he talking about our Vic for Vets thing?
I have no idea. I don't understand that either.
I don't think there was nothing one way or the other anywhere.
There's no politics in that.
Scooter, I just don't understand you.
He's creating a situation.
Don't
typical Democrat creating a situation.
Don't create a situation there, Scooter.
That's not there.
We have done strategic military strikes on other occasions and not gone to war. That I think I was trying to say that earlier in the day today, and Linda just said it perfectly.
How many times we have to mention we played 4 instances where Barack Obama did these actions and there was no war after that.
And no bitching about it either.
And but that's the main thing. Nobody said, see what he's doing, he's starting a war. It's the left, man. It's so hypocritical. You know what? The left, Democrats, and just the left are so hypocritical that we've given up even talking about it.
Our favorite Navy chief says, happy Monday, gents and fellow Vic heads. Have a great week, everyone. I spent over a decade over in the Middle East, Persian Gulf. The Iranians have always threatened to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. I was on a mine sweep from 2000 to 2002 over there. We would have Iranian patrol boats and planes skim by our ship. Now, mind you, our ship was only 224 feet long and made, my God, I talk about heroes. Scotty's a hero.
And Scotty would know about this. January of 2017, I believe it was, Barack Obama, 2016, it was 2016, yeah. January 2016, Barack Obama was such an apologist. If you remember, in the Strait of Hormuz, they had to surrender. One of our ships actually could not fire upon the group that was coming to attack them, and they had to they caught them and they had to get them. Remember, they got on their knees, they had their hands behind their heads.
Yeah.
The apologist president did that.
I never understood that. Apologizing for your country. Amy says, good morning, Vickheads. Thanks for being first, Amy. I didn't want to hog being first again. Ed Stewart being the gentleman. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Wait. Before, I know you're in. No peace. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. President FAFO Trump. There you go. Now, no fair elections.
No peace.
No fair tariff.
No peace.
No peace. Beautiful. Good morning, you beautiful mega, ultra patriot. I can do this by Howard Cosell. Good morning, all you beautiful, mega, ultra patriotic, deplorable, garbagian, degenerate, freedom-fighting, God-fearing, Vic-head weirdos. Champ, you're listless. You should give it up. Howard Cosell, speaking of sports.
He did that very well, except he should have went slower.
Well, time.
Hi, good night, everybody.
The show usually becomes available on Rumble at around 9:06, so I usually miss the beginning. What's your problem there, Ken?
I don't
know. That's Jasmine Crap. How did Crockett of Crap end up in Texas and get voted in when she's from Missouri? Isn't that an interesting thing? She's from St. Louis, and she's a Texas representative. Like she wears a cowboy hat and says, yeehaw.
Well, look at Hillary Clinton. She had nothing to do with New York, but she knew that was her only way of becoming senator.
Well, that and kill JFK Jr.
Well, that part. that was all in the plan. She moved to New York, killed JFK Jr., and then you're in.
Just go on. Good morning, all freedom-fighting patriot Vic heads. Wish my brothers and sisters. Korean conflict, Vietnam conflict, Kuwait conflict, Iraq conflict, Afghanistan conflict. The last time Congress declared war was 1942 against the Axis-aligned Hungary, Bulgaria, and Romania. How about that? Ed Stoit with a little history for Scooter.
Go Ed Stoit.
Bot alert. We got a terrible bot alert in the chat box. Bot doesn't always mean what you think. Here comes the attack from the person again. Didn't take long. Definitely a bot. Bot, blatantly off track. Bot. Hakeem Olugi and Schumer, inciter of violence, were called. Tui. It was a test to see if they leaked the information that were cornered and would arrest. Yes. You see, you can't tell the Democrats that we're going to bomb Iran because one of them is going to go run to Ilhan Omar or run to Rashida Tlaib.
And they've got a phone that's ready.
They're going to bomb your brothers. Okay. Karen is thinking of Neville Chamberlain. Thank you. Okay, we figured it out.
We in these hot ass streets, honey.
That's right, baby. There was something weird going on with the parents on the Patty Duke show. Why? Twin cousins? Yeah, we discussed that. What was the problem? I don't get it. Kathy and Patty.
Twin cousins, yeah.
Because they're cousins, identical cousins.
Now, why wouldn't they just say, well, they're twin sisters? What was the deal with that?
That's a great point. Why weren't they just twin sisters?
Say, okay, to eliminate that whole controversy, just say they're twin sisters.
I mean, I think I know why, because they wanted to have the girl be British, so she was an American. Patty was typical American teenager.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
A hot dog makes her lose control.
But just, they could have been separated at birth. I don't know.
Like Parent Trap.
Right.
Obama and Biden gave them billions and developed nuclear and funded terror. Yep.
They did.
Wonder what those 82 pilots listened to on those flying hours. You know what, Cubist? I asked the badass that we talked to, Tyler Gray, about that based on your question. So thank you so much.
And it's true. The truth is we are finding out more and more about how much funding Obama did do for Iran and he basically helped them survive through all the what is it? The problems that they were having, whatever. It was close.
Childless cat lady, portrayed by our friend Sandra, says, I doubt you can send food or liquids to the Capitol for security reasons. They might not accept it. I think even ordinary mail even goes off site for screening with the anthrax thing and all that. That's fine, but it's there now. Nate has them. Nate has the cookies, and he works in the Capitol. The Ayatollah has lost face. That's a big deal in the ME. I'm sorry, guys. Hey, B-Bit Gamer. Is that somebody new, Ken? It says, hi, all. Hi,
hey,
B-Bit.
How you doing?
All right, we're going to have to skip around here, guys. I'm sorry. Ken screwed us up here on the time. You can buy Bosco on Amazon. Fantastic. Scooter on Facebook just wastes time. I mean, we proved him wrong on everything he said today. My daughter and my niece almost identical because my brother and I look like each other. I'll tell you what, my mom and her sister, my Aunt Alba, they weren't twins, but they looked so much alike that they used to go to each other's classes. Like if one wanted to, I'll go to this class for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So it is possible.
Hot to make her lose control. Can we hear that tomorrow? Can you find that for us tomorrow? Play the Patty Duke theme?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, good. All right, we got to go. Sorry, everybody, but Ken messed us up. It's all Ken's fault. It's not mine. No, not true. It's my fault. Anything goes wrong is my fault. Anything that's good is Ken's credit. All right, thank you so much for having the record player on at night to listen to us this morning.
Make sure you have the record player on at night.
3 martini lunch with the drunken Jamie Allman, I guess. We'll take you for the next couple of hours after the news. Have a good day. Kenny and I'll see you tomorrow at 9 on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Tony Colombo
Whoosh.
here for All Solutions Pest Control, the team Christine and I trust to protect our home. We've used multiple services at multiple homes over the years, and I can tell you from all that experience, All Solutions is second to none. If you have a pest problem of any kind, or more importantly, just want to prevent a problem, All Solutions is the team to call. Learn more and take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer right now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Springtime often means storms. Don't let a fallen tree ruin your day. Call Hanson's Tree. Look them up at hansonstree.com. Hanson's, your expert insured tree care specialist in the St. Louis region and well beyond. In addition to taking care of all the messes, they can take care of beautiful things as well. Organic mulch, tree trimming, grinding, and land clearing, green waste recycling. Let the expert arborist at Hanson's take care of all the tree care for your home or business. 24/7 at hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
KLDY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. The International Atomic Energy Agency says U.S. strikes on a major Iran nuclear plant were highly effective. At a briefing in Vienna, the IAEA's Rafael Grossi said it appears the American bunker buster bombs penetrated deep into the Fordo site, which was the primary target.
Given the explosive payload utilized and the extreme vibration-sensitive nature of centrifuges, very significant damage is expected to have occurred.
At the White House, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was definitive about the outcome of Operation Midnight Hammer, saying the U.S. took away Iran's ability to create a nuclear bomb. She also said President Trump's social media post about regime change was just simply raising a question, and that the administration's posture has not changed. Overseas, European nations are working to keep alive diplomatic efforts to curb the Israel-Iran war. Calls for the Iranian government to enter talks with Washington appeared to fall on deaf ears. The regime reached out to ally Russia for support instead. Diplomats are expressing concern that retaliation could spark a wider war. Summer heat is back in a big way, so is the humidity. A heat wave in the Midwest and eastern U.S.
Meteorologist Brian Hurley of the National Weather Service says sweltering temperatures are mostly over the Midwest right now, but are moving east.
Where